Previously on AFTN.
Thoughts about that and reflections on that and expressed an understanding of things. I did out you a bit. Shoot, I forgot to tell you this before.
Thanks.
No, sorry.
First of all, Zach, it should be somebody's choice to get out. It'll be outed.
I know.
Sorry, but yeah, I know. Well, actually, this is on social media, so it's not that big of a.
Oh,
but no, you're not. Wondering.
I'm wondering where this is going.
No.
Now. Baby, it's cold outside, so grab yourself a blanket, your hot beverage of choice, and a chocolate digestive, and settle down for another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM, from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. If you're listening to this show on the podcast, it's episode 312. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
It has been a very, very busy week in Whitecapsland and elsewhere in MLS, so we're going to cover all that in tonight's show. Marc Dos Santos said he planned to be very active in these MLS trade windows and drafts and stuff to that, and true to his word, he has been. We've got some new players to talk about. Some Whitecaps came in, some Whitecaps went out. We went out and got ourselves both a Mac and a PC, which is risky at this time of year before Christmas because usually you want to get those kind of things after Christmas because it's a lot cheaper then. But I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
But I guess this is the Black Friday of
Possibly.
MLS, so maybe it is a good deal.
The half day Black Friday.
Yeah, the re-entry draft.
Black Sunday.
Re-entry draft certainly feels like Black Friday, or the leftovers the day after Black Friday because that's when all the tats
all the
left.
stuff is gone.
Yeah, no one's got any good stuff after that. We've got two keepers in the squad. Well, hopefully we've got a few more guys that we're going to keep, but we've got two new goalkeepers in the squad. The first one is a guy that we've been banging on about rather, for the last few weeks. It's an expected trade. We hoped it was going to be coming.
I didn't expect it to be coming. I was shocked.
You didn't at all.
And I was shocked at how little they had to give up for him too.
I don't think...
He's not that highly rated though.
I'm just saying that Montreal sending one of their homegrown products to Vancouver is not an expected move.
That's fair. Yeah. I wasn't hoping either. I'm not surprised by it, but I wasn't hoping for this to happen.
You wanted better?
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see how the goalkeeping position plays out this year. I think they've taken a step in a certain direction, and like where you got all domestic, all hopefully reasonable salaries, and they're willing to
spend more other places where they can actually change the game itself and not have to rely on the goalkeeper.
That's what you think,
yeah.
but we have to wait and see on that end of things.
The two new keepers that's come in, Maxime Crépeau, Zach McMath. Crépeau we've talked about for a few weeks now. And
Zach we talked about too.
Yes.
I said they're going to bring in a Zach. If the guy doesn't go overseas from Columbus.
I thought we had enough Zachs in Vancouver, and the front office wouldn't want to go near anyone called Zach. But clearly I was wrong.
No, you're right on.
We sent the much travelled Tam to Montreal.
50?
Hope he speaks French.
Was it 50 or how much was it?
I think it was 50,000.
Yeah,
I can't even remember now.
Yeah.
There's been so many figures going around.
And a
today.
third-round pick in 2020.
Yeah, third round super draft.
Crepeau
pick.
was 50. Yeah.
That was nothing.
No, I mean the third round super draft picks were going left and right today, coming in, going out. Crepeau's 24 years old.
They get that striker from Holy Cross in the third round in 2020.
Third round draft picks are literally useless.
First and second round draft picks this year were pretty useless.
No offense to anyone who's been drafted in the third round.
So
Crepeau, yeah. 24. You said it wasn't going to happen.
I didn't think so at all.
He has got 2 senior caps.
Not that I didn't want it to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah, I just thought it was the kind of guy that MDS would definitely fancy. He set a USL clean sheet record this season with 15, was the USL goalkeeper of the year. So he's at the level where he needs to be playing. And it's obviously felt that USL isn't a high enough level for him. You've now got Zach McMath coming in as well. Crepeau probably did not want to be at Montreal knowing that they've just given Evan Bush a new 3-year deal. We talked about that last week. They also picked up options on all 4 of their goalkeepers last week, so you kind of knew Crepeau's days were numbered there. He's going to have a battle with Zach McMath. I don't think Crepeau comes here and he's an automatic starter.
Well, I would say based on what they spent for McMath, I would think that they probably maybe rate him higher, or maybe just cost more or something
obviously
like that.
They do.
And so, because that was $100,000 double, and then Mosqueda, who you'd expect to be like $100,000 player or something like that, or $50,000 somewhere.
There's no shadow of a doubt that Zach McMath is coming in to be the number one. He could lose that to Crepeau, but he has 8 years experience. He's actually he's had some runs of form that have been spectacular. He's had other runs of forms that have been less than subpar, let's say.
2016, him and Tim Howard were voted Colorado's players of the year, joint players of the year, and it was only Tim Howard coming in that he lost his spot in Colorado, which is baffling because we've talked about Howard coming in and not being that good a keeper, really.
And I might be mistaken, but he also had some good years in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And then was replaced by Andre Blake.
Yeah, Philly was a weird time because I had a bad team.
And they just kept drafting goalies.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I think he did get unseated, but there. The interesting thing is this is MLS, so this is different than football around the world, right? Where you sit down with the player and you have a conversation about them bringing it. I wonder how that worked for this. I wonder if Crepeau know how much he knew about McMath coming. I wonder how much McMath knew about Crepeau coming. Not that he would probably care about that much.
You would think Crepeau would ask the question, because I mean, when we spoke with Spencer Ritchie, and we'll come to Spencer shortly, he had said he wanted to have discussions, he wanted to be a starter, or at least have a shot of being the number one. So you have to think both McMath and Crepeau have had that conversation of, you've got a shot at being the number one.
I don't know how much they allow the teams to talk to the players, because
we
got the
Espindola that as well.
Remember Espindola?
Yes. Oh yes. Oh, I blocked him out for memory. Jeez.
One of the great Whitecaps of the MLS era.
He was a star signing that season.
I think they should allow other teams should give permission to players to
in
talk
the UK
to the other
you
teams.
can.
You can, yeah.
Once you've been given permission to speak to them. So maybe they haven't even had those conversations at all. But for McMath, we gave up Nicholas Mosqueda and Tam again, who's putting himself about 100,000 Tam. McMath, he's 27. As you said, 8 seasons in the league, 4 with Philly, 4 with Colorado, 136 appearances under his belt. Crepeau's got 3 MLS appearances under his belt. Howard kind of took that position from him, but in all his years in MLS, he's got 36 clean sheets. I feel both are an upgrade on Brian Rowe.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's hard not to think.
I also feel that they're going to challenge each other and push each other for that number one spot. I also think it maybe gives Sean Melvin a chance to put himself in the frame as well.
He's the same age as Crepeau, too.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone is too far behind the pecking order. McMath's probably going into the pre-season camp as the number one.
Right.
Crepeau's the 2 and Melvin is the 3, but strange things can happen.
Right, but see, one of the things that's key, I think, about Melvin and Crepeau being the same age is that Crepeau has been selected for Canada
and way more playing time,
and playing more playing time in general, right? Not that Melvin still has potential, right?
Yeah.
To make.
But we did let Spencer Ritchie go.
Yeah, when 2 keepers come, one must go.
Yes. We knew Spencer was going because we didn't pick his option up, but we still get something for his MLS rights, which I still think is ridiculous. It's like if you haven't picked his option
I know.
up, just let him
Let
go.
him go. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But I mean, we basically got
much...
nothing for it because we
Well,
got our third round draft pick in 2020.
Allow them to go in the draft to see if somebody wants to pick up their contract, and if nobody does pick it up, then let them go. But even then, they hold the rights, even after going through a couple of drafts.
Here's the question for you: if we feel that Rowe and if we feel that McMath and Crepeau are better than Rowe, where do they come in? Where does Spencer Ritchie fit into that? Are they better than Spencer Ritchie? On a par with Spencer Ritchie?
Well, if Crepeau set the record for USL goalkeepers, like clean sheets and everything, on a team that obviously wasn't good enough to even make the playoffs, which I think says I would put him just a touch higher than Spencer Ritchie at this point. McMath, on the other hand, I would actually just put maybe a notch lower than Marinovic. So I would kind of put them in between those two if you were to do a pecking order. I know Ritchie had a great season as well in Cincinnati, but he was playing for a stronger team.
If Ritchie had played the whole seaon, I think he would have definitely been in the running for
sure.
goalkeeper of the year. But he split his time there with Newton, who won the Golden Gloves as well, which was weird. But if we look at the salaries. Yeah, if we look at the salaries, Crepeau did make 84 last year. Zach McMath made 170.
Yeah.
Now, I rate Spencer Ritchie highly. I would possibly rate him. I would rate him higher than Crepeau. I might rate him higher than McMath, but
you've interviewed him. Wait till you interview these two, then we'll see.
That's true. We'll have to see which one of these wants a chocolate digestive. That is going to be the breaking point.
Well, I don't know, Steve. I have a feeling that one or both could be Michael's new favorite.
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, bound to be. So we've got new goalkeepers, so that's one good thing. But we also possibly have a new defender. Depends if he's going to be a left back or a left winger.
You can do so much with his name too.
It's Giro Day.
Yeah.
Now, my wife was pointing out when I was really excited because we were out this morning. I was like, hey, it's Gyros. Giro doesn't mean anything to you in Vancouver in terms of being unemployed, does it? No. Because your benefit check in Scotland is called a Giro.
Oh, gotcha.
So hence it's Giro Day. It's like,
I guess you already have like the headline written for when he gets moved on.
I've got all the punk songs about being on the dole from the 80s ready, but just talking about drawing your gyro and stuff. So I'm all set for this.
Well, he's also known as PC.
Yes, which will please some of the Southsiders, I'm sure, because they've been really into some PC defending for a while. Let's hope there's no armbands.
Well, that's the thing we have to find out. Is he going to be a left back or is he going to be a left wing? He's kind of
one of the Orlando fans said he's better as a left winger because he had some nightmare outings as left back.
Okay, or is he in MDS's setup? Is he going to be that left wing back? Which is another thing.
Yeah,
which is obviously
there's that as well.
The one thing I think I read about it was that 16 appearances for Orlando, and I believe it was two sending offs. Is that right?
Do you know, I never looked at the sending offs.
I thought I read that.
He made 8 appearances last year and 8 this year. Only 5 each year were starts, but I never actually looked at his sending offs.
I think there was one in each.
Wow.
Or I thought I read somewhere it was two sending offs.
I did read that he's quite aggressive. So there we go. He's versatile. We all love a cheeky Brazilian. We've talked about that before. I don't know how strong a signing this is. He does look good with the ball.
Yeah.
He looks aggressive. He can play left back, left wing. Don't want to shit all over the guy before he's got here, but he doesn't scream starter at me right now.
And I don't think, because if you're giving up a third round pick for somebody, you're not considering them a starter. I think what Dos Santos is doing is building depth. And I think, like we said before, the starters are going to come from either abroad or bigger trades where he has more time to negotiate a trade. Or something like that. So I don't think I don't think you were going to see a big TAM player being traded today or something like that. These were going to be minor trades, and that's what happened throughout MLS. There was only one big name. Right?
Yeah, Maxi Ruti going, but
yeah, it's like looking at a jigsaw puzzle, and you're just like, what shade of blue and sky does this all blue piece fit into? We only have so much to look at right now.
Yes,
and so I think that
it's hard to see them.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I agree with you that it does not scream starter.
No,
and remember he also mentioned that he wanted to increase the domestic depth and everything. PC does qualify as
green
domestic.
card. Yeah,
he has a green card.
Yes,
so he's not international.
Yeah.
And they got rid of Mosqueda, who was an international, and that opens up another international spot.
And a few folk were sad to see Mosqueda go. I'm not. I've said several times he's not an MLS starter in my mind. I'm quite happy that he's gone.
I think he's run his course, basically.
Yeah.
So
I really appreciate Nico Mosqueda. I'm going to miss him.
I
also thought, and lots of people have been saying this online, but like it seemed like he would be the type of player that MDS would value. Maybe not as a starter.
Yeah. But I mean, when we took his option and Eric Hurtado's options, I said to me that smelt trade bait. And there were lots of rumours going about Twitter on Saturday night that Eric Hurtado is possibly on the chopping block or the trading block, and there's a number of clubs interested in him. Nothing came off today, but that still lots of time for that to happen.
Like a little history on PC. He's 4 years in North America.
Yeah,
two with Orlando, and then two in Florida. Yeah, Tampa Bay, Fort Lauderdale, one with each.
Yeah.
And then so. Like I said, he's been around North America, so he kind of understands the game and everything like that.
MDS knows him from his time in Brazil with Corinthians under-20s as well. He played against MDS's team down there.
Did you read the press release?
No.
Oh, I'll tell you about it. There's a typo.
He did well scoring goals in USL. Obviously, he's only had one, I think, in MLS or with MLS.
Well, he did well with the strikers. He got 8 goals and 4 assists and 46 appearances. Didn't do that well at Tampa Bay, but I don't know. It does sound like he's possibly. He's versatile, so we could see him as a left wing sub. We could see him as a left back sub to come on. Do we feel Brett Levi's is still the left back starter? There's Marcel de Jong as well. Is Marcel de Jong a possible trade bait possibility maybe?
Well, it's increasing competition, that's for sure.
Yes.
Whatever the case is, yeah.
There was a couple of other rumours out there on Saturday night that didn't go through today, not necessarily to say that they haven't been announced or what's going to happen. One of them, and we'll give Glass City a hat tip for this, he mentioned that he'd heard that the Caps were going to give Seattle $50,000 in GAM for the MLS rights to English midfielder. He's Aussie born, but he's to English parents. So I'd like to call him an Aussie. Don't want to think of him as being English.
Go for it.
Andy Rose.
Forget about it. He's a flounder. Just call him a flounder.
I was going to say, are you going to refer to him as the Englishman or the Aussie? Because obviously he's an ex-Seattle player.
Yeah.
He spent 4 seasons with Seattle from 2012 to 2015.
He was a draft pick, I think, too. Yeah.
Made 90 appearances, scored 5 goals, 7 assists, went to Europe, played in League One for a season and a half with Coventry. Then he got an injury. I think it was a cruciate knee. It was definitely a cruciate injury, and they didn't re-sign him at Coventry, so he ended up in Scotland in Motherwell in the SPL. They love him up there.
Yeah.
He signed a new deal this season.
Expires in the summer.
So, yeah, he's a free agent in May.
Yeah.
So if we have acquired his rights, that's not necessarily going to mean he's going to come now. He could come as soon as he's a free agent in May.
Now, he's got a connection to Dos Santos in an odd way.
Very weird way.
Odd way,
yes.
Kind of.
He's married to Bob Bradley's daughter.
Former boss of Dos Santos.
So you have to wonder, maybe they somehow connected that way.
Yeah, maybe we could trade him for Marc Anthony Kaye down the road.
Oh, maybe. I don't think. Would you want to work for your father-in-law?
Was it?
Yeah, because then I'd have good. He's good. He's got good money. Man. He'd be well.
Was it this week that was not this week that Marc Anthony Kaye got a huge new contract?
Yeah,
he got a 3-year deal, so he's not coming here.
Good for him.
That's sad. Another player that was linked to the Whitecaps this week. Another report from Glass City.
Well, Glass City also broke the Mosqueda trade too. McMath, I think. He broke that before Soccer by Ives.
So Glass City also reported that former Galaxy midfielder Juninho had a meeting with the Caps this week, which is interesting because he was apparently last month going through a medical with TFC. Now, he has had surgery, which I think was in November last year. Makes you wonder, did he pass the medical, or was his demands too much for TFC just now? Have they maybe put him on hold and he's exploring other options? I wouldn't be averse to getting him if it was for the right price. 7 seasons in MLS, 6 with LA, and he won 3 MLS Cups there. So he's got the experience, he's a winner. 229 MLS appearances, 20 goals, 29 assists. That would be a quality addition.
Didn't Juninho have that run-in with Pedro Morales one year? Or was that somebody else in Chicago?
That was David Ousted, you think?
No. I'm talking about on the field.
There
was somebody on the field from Chicago that had a run-in with Pedro Morales, and they both got sent off or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if it was Juninho or somebody else. I can't remember. Oh, somebody tweet us in with their answer.
I don't think this is the first time the Whitecaps have been interested in this player.
No. And it would be a nice little addition, I feel, getting that experience. Because, but we'll come to this in the later part when we look at some of the guys that's options are going to be available in the re-entry draft. Some folk were saying, look, why do we want these people? They're like MLS 2.0. We should be looking forward. You still need to have depth and experience and some veterans in there. Because it's not just a case of bringing in all these guys that have never experienced the league or maybe have something to prove. You want guys that have done something as well. We had Kai Kamara last year. The things are pointing, and this was another thing that Glass City said, but I do want to maybe take a little bit of umbrage with this. It looks like Kai Kamara's not coming back. We heard that this week, that it looks like Kai's not coming back. Glass City, though, tweeted that it was because he had been disruptive in the locker room.
Yeah.
Now, from everyone I've spoken to, players, coaching staff, front office staff, completely different message coming out about Kai Kamara. He was far from being the cancer in the locker room, and he was excellent in the locker room this year.
Yeah. I heard about this about 24 hours before I saw the tweets about this. So I heard about this.
The first part.
About Kai Kamara.
Not coming back.
Yeah, about not coming back.
Not the second
about
part.
Him not coming back.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, then when I saw the tweets about it, and then I saw this whole locker room stuff, it's such rubbish. Like, it's so just like not true, and I can only
makes you wonder why who would want that out there.
Yeah, and I'm not questioning Glass City, because I think Glass City is just passing on information.
I think
he's been
genuinely
told.
that's
so
what
I'm not questioning him or her, but I am questioning. The motives behind who's giving this information, because this information is not accurate to anyone in that locker room, and so it feels like people have been talking about this online the last couple of days.
Some people, Tim Parker,
it feels
I saw Jay Duke tweet that out first.
Let's make people think he was a problem, and so, or part of this problem that arose at the last the press conference thing that you guys were at there.
Because I've talked to people on the streets, on the tough streets.
You're like Huggy Bear. He's AFTN's Huggy Bear.
I've heard word on the street that people are saying that it makes no sense for them not to bring him back unless his demands are exorbitant. And he didn't say that. He said money was not an issue for him.
I think you and I talked about this in his thing. He said money is not my number one thing. Which I think, did you not say to me they said people would use that against him? Mm-hmm. Right? It's sad. It's sad to see them try and paint him in this light.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more action in the playing side, and before the end of the year is out, pretty much, there's a lot of action in the coaching side, because MDS has finally confirmed who his coaching staff is. His brother Philip Dos Santos is in as his assistant, so no big surprise there. After a year being with Martin Rennie at Indy 11, he's got a UEFA A licence. He worked with Mark with the Ottawa side that reached the 2015 USL Championship and the 2017 NASL champs San Francisco Deltas. So I think that's a good appointment. And I know from talking to Marc Dos Santos before, he feels his brother has what it takes to be coaching at a high level on his own, never mind being an assistant. And he's still only 40.
If anyone is concerned about nepotism, this does not rank in the top 3 cases of nepotism that should concern you about the Whitecaps.
Oh, we're going to do a flash 5 of nepotism.
I got to get the music.
Yeah, let's get that ready. I think it's a good appointment. The only thing is, we've got Dos Santos, so we need to get a name for that. Not the Dossers, because again, in UK slang, that means a completely different thing altogether. The other assistant manager, I've no idea much about him, Vanni Sartini. He holds a UEFA Pro licence, which is above the A. 7 years coaching experience in Italy. Most recently, a course educator with US Soccer for the Pro licence. He's a young coach as well at 42. We've got a new goalkeeping coach, 46-year-old Daha Youssef, who spent last season with Montreal's USL affiliate Ottawa. So he brought on, obviously, Maxime Crepeau. We'll give him all the credit for Crepeau winning Goalkeeper of the Year. But he's been involved with Mark since 2004, the old USL days, and all the history and stuff that goes with that. Good coaching staff. Mark knows him well. Obviously trusts him.
Well, we don't know that, but you have to.
Well,
if you trust the coach, you
yes.
have to trust the coach.
Any concerns that there's no MLS experience amongst those guys?
No, because the main coach has MLS experience at this point.
But limited.
Couple
as well.
years.
Yeah.
He's coached with Peter Vermees. And he's coached with Bob Bradley.
Yeah.
So
None as a head coach, but I think it'll suit the Whitecaps FO.
Do you expect an assistant to come in with head coaching experience?
No, but it'll suit them because it keeps the wage bill down, and again they're people that can be controlled.
Oh boy! And last bit of news from the Whitecaps confirmed what we broke 2 weeks ago. They're going to Hawaii for pre-season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have heard little murmurs that they're quite desperate for some media to go down there and kind of cover the team. So we're available. If you want to send us down, we can do our live shows from there.
At the MDS thing with supporters the other day, they're like, someone's like, "Oh, what do you do for preseason?" And he kind of didn't answer or whatever. I was like, "Oh, they're going to Hawaii," and he's like, "How do you know? How do you know that?"
Did you throw
No,
me under the bus
I didn't
again?
mention your name that time.
Okay. Anyway, we'll
That
be
was the
back.
closet.
We'll be back with some more Whitecaps and MLS chat after this.
Hi, I'm Marc Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I was tired of being upset. Always wanted something I never could get. Life's an illusion, love's a dream, but I don't know what it is. Everybody's happy nowadays. Everybody's happy nowadays.
The Buzzcocks. Everybody's happy nowadays, which is a song I won't play at my funeral.
Right.
It'll be good as
And
my...
the vampire.
Yeah, and the vampire as well has to get played. As
The
my
vampire
coffin goes
ad.
into the big fire, everybody's happy.
If you're listening to
nowadays.
the podcast and you don't know the vampire ad, just listen once to a live show. And you'll-
Yeah, I'll stick it in the Christmas show.
Oh, okay.
We'll actually include it in the Christmas
Also,
show.
could you put it back on your jacket? That shirt makes me uncomfortable.
Yes, I am wearing my one of my many Buzzcocks t-shirts. Their first single, Orgasm Addict.
Steve, you just gave it like a really long stare.
No, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it.
It's art. It's art as art.
No, it's
If you haven't seen the cover for the Buzzcocks Orgasm Addict single, check it out. Sad news this week is the lead singer of the Buzzcocks, my all-time favourite band, Pete Shelley, died. I saw he was trending on Twitter, which is always a bad sign.
No,
Especially when it's a 70s punk band, you're thinking, don't think he's that big that he's just released a new single that everyone in the world is talking about it. But I was at work, saw it, I had tears in my eyes, I was really upset. It's of all the musicians and folk that's died, it's probably the one that really upsets me the most because it was the first band I ever got into. And we're going to come to something that you got into for the first time in part 5.
sure. Spoiler.
It's not linked to Orgasm Addict. Just thought I'd stress that. I was going to play Orgasm Addict and then go, and all the Whitecaps fans will be having orgasms at the signings that Marc Dos Santos is making this year. But instead, let's just say that everybody's happy nowadays because we've got a new head coach and there's a new attack-minded philosophy we feel at the Whitecaps. Not a flat-pack philosophy, which was another Buzzcocks album. But you are listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. And we're going to have more Buzzcocks songs during the show. No Mad Hat McGore this week, Zach. I cut that out for all the Buzzcocks stuff. I know you'll be gutted. So we'll have a double dose of Mad Hat next week.
no Mad Hatters, just the
up until
just
Do
the
you have a Christmas
BCs.
song? Because we got the Christmas
No.
song. Oh, damn it.
Up until Pete Shelley had died, I'd spent the whole week listening to Scottish rap, so I would broaden my horizons and have Mog and other Scottish rap artists. But yeah, a lot of Buzzcocks and Pete Shelley to come. And a lot more Whitecaps and MLS chat, because last week we had a look at some of the goalkeepers and defenders that options weren't picked up, free agents, out of contract.
Available for the draft,
Yeah.
re-entry draft.
Most people online didn't want us to touch any of them. who knows? We might. We still need some centre backs.
Even if they come here, I'm still not going to touch them.
Why can't I touch it? It's another Buzzcock song. I'll just drop all these throughout the whole show. But we're going to have a look at some midfielders that are going to be available and have some of our listeners' thoughts on that as well. Not a lot of forwards kind of tickled my pickle, but a lot of midfielders definitely did. One of them, not a hope in hell of getting this guy, but I thought I'd put him in as number one. Yamil Assad!
Yeah, I don't
That's
see
for
that
the
happening.
trans guys that were, if they're still listening from the show before.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, 24-year-old Argentine. DC hadn't picked up his option.
Because he was on loan.
Yeah,
wasn't
he was on apparently a 700,000 option to make the loan permanent from Vélez Sarsfield.
And they had to pay to do it, so he would have been a designated player.
I'd still swoop in and get him because
I don't know.
16 goals and 21 assists and 63 appearances, that excites me. But
Not me.
Is it like the Whitecaps are supposed to get exciting players?
yeah,
I think Dos Santos can do better.
Sorry, that's a foreshadowing.
you're so cynical.
No, that's a foreshadowing to what we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, probably. A guy, though, that he's on a big ticket as well. He was on 625,000 in 2018 with LAFC, so he knows Marky Boy. Benny Feilhaber. I've liked Benny Feilhaber for a while. 8 seasons in MLS, New England, KC, LAFC. This would be a big splash, but he's 33 just now. He's going to be 34 pre-season before the season kicks off. So he's a veteran. Is a veteran worth that kind of money?
Kind of young for the Whitecaps, though.
Can't see him coming in because it's someone like that coming in, that age, that price. I can't.
And then essentially you're taking a spot away because I'm assuming you're still bringing a designated player. And you're taking a spot away from a younger player that they want to move up in this.
KC fans have previously talked about him having a little bit of an ego and kind of diva tendencies.
You think?
I don't know. They said that about Kai Kamara, and that's worked out so well.
No, but Feilhaber.
Yeah. But so a lot of folk and our listeners like that. But another guy who
this could be doable.
I think this is a possibility. Christian Martinez from Columbus. I know it's a strange name to throw. He's 21. He was highly touted when he joined the crew in 2016. Made 28 appearances, only 14 of them starts though in the kind of 3 seasons that he spent there. 1 goal and 2 assists, so not a great output.
Yeah.
But he's only on 73,500 basically, and he's had 2 caps with Panama, and he's thought to be one for the future.
Now this sounds like Whitecaps material.
Well, it sounds like Whitecaps material, maybe under Robbo. I don't know about under MDS.
Have you not heard him say
Latin American?
Have you not heard him say though? I am going to get more from less.
I've heard him say in South Korea and China a lot. So I feel we're more looking at maybe the Asian market. But who knows?
The next guy actually I had on my list as a decent, backup. And remember, we're talking all these guys as backups for depth.
Yes,
Mike,
unless we get Assad.
Yeah, Mike Grella.
Yes,
a winger.
Grilladinho, as they call him.
Yeah, I think
the monsoon we would call him. The monsoon Grella
puts in a solid effort. Bombs it down the thing. He's obviously not technically sound, but he can definitely put in an honest effort off the bench.
31.
Yeah,
4 years experience in MLS. After a spell in Europe, he was drafted in 2009 by TFC. Then went to Europe. 2 great seasons with Red Bulls, then a pretty poor one with them and a pretty poor one with the crew. So you maybe wonder where are his best days behind him. Can he recapture his form? He sounds like a kind of guy that, like some of the guys that we're bringing in, like McMath, maybe have something to prove. Crepo has something to prove. Grella maybe has something to prove. He's on 197.5 right now, so
but it could be higher next year.
Yeah, not a lot of money, but these are guys that you maybe don't want to take in stage 1 of the re-entry draft. You want to get them in stage 2 because stage 1 you're taking their current salary. Stage 2 you can at least renegotiate with them. His first 2 years in New York were impressive. 16 goals, 13 assists from 71 appearances. This year though, just 1 goal and 1 assist from 12 appearances. Yeah. But I think that could be a possibility.
Again, it doesn't scream like...
He's not a starter.
Yeah.
He's not a starter.
Doesn't seem like excitement.
But there's other spots on the depth chart where you can't have a starter on, like as your 30th player.
But can you? Is it best to squad build by bringing in every single one of your depth players first? Like
it does seem an odd way of doing it.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
If that is.
But I mean, he might already have his
out.
big names lined up, but he just can't announce them yet.
Yeah,
that's true too.
So there's
Can't
that as
announce
well.
them,
So
yeah.
he might know who he wants. For example, Andy Rose, if he comes
but
over,
when
you
you're-
have to feel.
I
he's
hear
a bit of a
coaches
high
like
ticket.
having lists of
When you're the-
people
when-
they want to bring in.
When you're the manager of Whitecap, knowing who you want and getting what you want are two very, very different things.
Yes. Oh, the tales we could tell. In fact, let's maybe tell some of them in our Christmas show.
Wait, what?
We could have fireside chats with Zach and Michael. I've
I'll
always
just
wanted,
sit over here.
I was like, yeah.
I've always wanted to do a fireside chat with Bob Lenarduzzi where he's just telling tales of the NASL days. I thought that'd be a fun thing to do.
You know who likes to
Have
talk?
the crackling
You know who
noise
you
in
could do
the
a good
background.
fireside chat with? Another Bob? Bob Lilly. The dude likes to talk. But it's,
Was he not boring?
well, for players, yeah, because he talked during training. Like he talked as much as they trained, kind of thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
training sessions would be 2 hours and at least 45 minutes we're talking. But he's interesting to talk about the game with.
Now, another guy, and this is next couple of guys we're going to look at are guys from the Western Conference, which I'm not sure how much we might get guys from the
No,
West,
you can
but
get them because
yeah.
you can if you want to pick them up.
Oh, of course, all these options are available.
Yeah.
But like on the whole, I don't know how much Western teams are going to want to give us guys. But Houston, we
Yeah.
talked about all the Houston players we did want: Manitas, Albert Ellis, Arturo Alvarez.
I honestly have never heard of him. I don't even think I've ever seen him play.
He can play in both wings.
He's old. He's left-footed, isn't he?
He's
Yeah.
33, El Salvadorian international.
Oh, that explains it.
12 seasons in the league since 2003, so he's a
Yeah,
veteran.
you know him.
I honestly don't. I couldn't recall him if I saw
Did
him.
he used to play in
And
Chicago?
He's been all over.
Yeah.
32 goals and 31 assists in his career.
I wouldn't recognize him if he walked in here and had a T-shirt that said "I'm Arturo Alvarez." I wouldn't know if it was him. Chris Pontius.
yeah, but you recognise Chris Pontius.
Chris Pontius, I
To
would.
be honest, I wouldn't recognise most of these guys anyway.
No, Pontius. I've seen. I remember playing. He actually had a couple of good games against the Whitecaps in the early couple of years. I remember that. Like at that time, everybody saying, "Oh, Chris Pontius, next Wondolowski or whatever." They said.
He's an odd one. The thoughts are that the Galaxy are going to renegotiate with him, but right now he's a free agent, so obviously it's in his benefit to keep his options open.
Maybe he'll get a Samsung phone.
I think they're allowed in Canada still, so we're okay there. He's out of contract right now. He only went to LA Galaxy this year. He was on 175 this year.
I think he was with DC for a long time.
Yeah,
Long
10
time.
seasons in the league, 51 goals, 35 assists. Seems like another kind of perfect experienced veteran. Because I still feel we need to get an experienced vet.
The thing is with him is he was, like I said, when he, in his first a couple of years in 2011, 2012, a lot of people thought very highly of him. He had I think he had a severe broken leg or some major knee damage, and that really put his career on hold or like stagnated it completely.
I think the Galaxy will probably
Keep him?
work a deal out with
And he'll
him.
probably want to stay
He
in
seems
LA
to
too.
really like life in LA,
Yeah.
because he does his music stuff and things as well. But another LA Galaxy guy who I would be quite excited if we got this guy.
And he's got speed.
Yeah, speed to burn. And of course, we've seen how well that works in the Whitecaps in years gone by. Emmanuel Boateng. He's a former track star, which would explain why he's fast.
And
he's
Zach gets a Ghanaian back on the team.
yeah, he's from Ghana.
Yeah.
Bring on the Black Stars. He remember he last the Black Stars is the name of the Ghanaian national.
Oh,
team.
He knows that. He's just getting you off the way.
Remember last year he tweeted out and everyone went kind of crazy. He tweeted out a picture of like he was coming to visit Vancouver or something. There was like a picture of a plane ticket from LA
So he
to
likes it
Vancouver.
here. I know, no one can go on holiday in MLS anymore without folk like, oh my God, he's getting transferred. Yeah. He's had 3 seasons in the league with LA, 89 appearances, 10 goals, 16 assists. He's out of contract. LA again renegotiating with him. I think we come in with a decent offer. He's going to like it up here.
The only thing about him is that I don't like. He seems to be a guy that stays on the periphery, like wide. He doesn't really venture into the box, and that's why
I genuinely don't know what his defensive work's like.
Well, yeah, I don't know either, but I don't know about that. But I know you because he picks up a lot of assists, and I'm assuming that's from crossing. But Dos Santos likes his wingers like attacking the net, so I don't know how much he fit.
Michael, I think you might like him here because I think he would be someone you could interview where you look down at them because he's a pretty short dude from what I remember.
I'm 5'8".
Oh, okay.
You're thinking
not
of
a bad
another
height.
reporter.
No, I'm thinking of Mike.
No,
No,
the
isn't,
next,
isn't he really short?
yeah, he's like probably 5'6" or 5.
Do you know, when I drew up this list, I didn't look at height.
Okay.
Was it in my criteria?
I didn't mean to find all your faults.
I don't see height.
Now, musically,
Especially small folk.
the next guy you would love to have.
Oh,
Not-
yes.
not
hooray,
happening. Not happening.
hooray, hooray for Mulholland. Look, Mulholland, lets me play my Frank Black song if we sign him. He's 30. Option was declined. He's English, so that's a tick against
But he's
him.
probably got a green card because he's been here for
Yeah.
5 years.
5 years in the league. Only made 4 appearances for RSL this past year, but 2 of those were in the playoffs.
He sounds like a guy that, like, because he's 35 years. I think he came out of the draft. He was like in NCAA. I think he probably he was one of those players that showed up late for the NCAA and then kind of spent until 25 and decided
A
to
lot
play.
of English guys get good scholarships after they've not made it in the English game
Yeah.
and then they come over here. But I mean, look at the fun we could have. We could go, look, Mulholland, and stuff, jokes like that.
Yeah.
To go with the gyro jokes, we'll be setting new trends. Look, this will work in our pulled off at halftime video show.
Yeah, I know that would work.
Yeah. But I mean, he's not on too much either.
Your
Neither's
reaction to
Boateng.
Black Stars would work too if we did that at that time.
I've got some great things planned for this video series that we're going to be doing. Get your pulled off at halftime t-shirts. I did look at some other guys and ruled them out, like Baggio Husidic,
yeah, too
No.
much.
who he's old.
Former GOAT.
Tommy McNamara.
No, Tom, I think there's a chance. That
Yeah,
Tom's
he
on.
could. He's kind of been lost. He was really good
Yeah,
with Chivas.
that's the
He's
thing.
been lost with New York City.
yeah,
FC.
this could be again the kind of player that Marc Dos Santos wants to revitalise. Rodney Wallace.
Not a chance.
Nah.
Not a chance. He'll just talk to his international teammates and they'll tell him, and he won't come.
A couple of guys I have is Richie Laria from Orlando.
He's Canadian.
Yeah,
He's a Sigma guy.
yeah, he's
Look-
former runner with Kyle Lauren.
I personally think we've got far too many Canadians now. Let's move on.
Nick De Leon. I know you mentioned him in the
Yeah.
fullbacks, but he could play winger too.
Yeah,
That could be an
I
option.
still like De Leon.
Sonny from RSL.
Cher.
I'm just saying you have the musical options there too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're
I'm
listening to
I'm
this,
looking out
Mark,
for you. I'm
just
looking out for
sign guys that we've got. So we've got exploited songs for Giro. We've got Frank Black songs for Mulholland. Sonny and Cher just writes itself.
Yeah.
Forwards, yes, there wasn't a lot of forwards that kind of jumped out to me. Chicago's Yura Movsisian. He's on over 2 million though, so I'm
not
thinking
gonna
probably
happen.
not. There was a comment from Caleb Wilkins. Actually, was it Caleb Wilkins? No, it was High on Caps actually that said, "Why would you want someone like Yura? He's just another Breck Shea, and you spent all year shitting on Breck Shea."
I think he's different than Breck Shea, to be honest. But I also don't think his style of play fits what MDS wants to do.
For me, there's only maybe 2 strikers that you might want to have an interest at in these drafts that's coming up. One is Colorado's Jack McBean.
I consider if you're going to pick him up, why not just keep Eric Hurtado?
I guess because Eric has at least shown better promise in recent years than McBean, who
And he won't
seems
get lost
have
to
been
BC
on a
Place.
bit of a downward
He knows his
spiral.
way around Vancouver.
True. McBean's only on basically 69,000.
Yeah, so it's very similar.
Yeah. He's only 23 though, so it's
That was the surprising
Oh,
part for me.
yeah.
because he broke through from the
Whereas
LA.
Eric's
he
up
broke from-
26, 27.
He broke through from the LA
Joe
youth
DC
team.
definitely knows how old he is.
He broke through from the LA youth team.
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
So he's been around for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he is worth it a little bit.
But I mean, again, it's his best days behind him. A lot of folk were like, wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. 2 goals and 1 assist with the Rapids this year, but the Rapids were crap. So
Is a bar's pole, you said?
barge pole,
Oh, okay, is that 10 foot?
10 foot.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Wouldn't not touch him with a 10-foot.
Okay,
I would touch him. I'm just saying other folk wouldn't. A guy I think I would touch, and I never thought I would say this.
yeah, I have him on my list too.
And again, the jokes that we could have about, we've got Ricketts and lots of 1880s gags that we can bring in.
Toussaint
Ricketts, yes. 31-year-old Edmontonian. His option was declined. He could, of course, head to the CPL. He could be a flagship signing with Edmonton or somebody.
No, he's another guy who's on 203 right now, but he could be on like 350 or 400 next year. You never know.
Yeah, I think if we got him in
Option.
stage 2, we could definitely get him a lot cheaper than that.
He's a guy I think
He
could
scores.
he could potentially fit what MDS
Yeah.
wants to do.
As your backup striker, he had limited minutes and appearances in TFC, 58 appearances, 15 goals and 2 assists in that time is a not bad return.
I could also see him being one of those players who like drops out of the, what do you call it, the double re-entry craziness?
Just to keep his options.
Because he wants to stay in Toronto and he's willing to maybe rework something with them.
True. But at least he's from Edmonton, so he likes the West. But I mean, they could make a deal to get him as a big name signing in CPL. I'm not sure that the CPL signings though are kind of going to be matching what those kind of guys want.
I think he's got enough to show, like, to stay in MLS for at least one more year. A couple.
Darren Mattix is available. Did we bring him back to carry the team?
No, but I'd rather sign Kakuta Mane. His contract is up soon.
Yeah, his contract is up soon. Yes, that's what I heard.
New York Red Bulls also revealed their lists on Tuesday. We didn't get a chance because we didn't know who we were going to release. And Aurelian Collin was on that list, who I would have loved years ago, but he's just too slow. I just wanted to mention that.
I also heard, I think Kakuta is maybe wanting to come back to America after his time at St. Holland and Switzerland.
So we're not here then, because we're Canada, Zach.
Oh, maybe I might have.
Are you mixing all the countries together? Are you Don Garber?
I might have heard MLS.
So let's go to the listeners.
Yeah, listeners had a few thoughts. Jack Hamill, Caps on Tap, said Benny Feilhaber, he really likes him, but also Boateng, as did Early Christmas Spencer, Spanker Claus, I like that name.
Breton Caps Offside said Feilhaber and Grilla.
Yep. Peter Hicken says Boateng could be interesting. Feilhaber would be a good pickup, although he's never personally been a fan of him, and he wouldn't want a 34-year-old in that kind of money, but on way less, possibly. I think Feilhaber's going to want a big ticket to close out his career.
At Jen Giliski said Euro would be good if he dropped his salary for renegotiations. But high in caps, like you said before, he's another Brexit.
Dre, Design Illicit, said Ricketts seems like he fits MDS's plans, like Zach said, and also Feilhaber on a cheaper ticket.
Sebastian Lessard at Footy Seb said Pontius.
Thomas Brown, who is downtown Brown, I think he's part of Canucks Abroad, is a fan of Feilhaber, and he'll know MDS from both KC and LAFC. That price ticket, though, again.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. El Canico is only interested in Steve's pick of Grella.
Yeah.
But even then, as a veteran and in a sub role,
that's what I'm into.
Yep.
Yeah, not as a starter for sure.
And it was El Canico who said that too many on the list are MLS 2.0, and he feels we've moved past that.
Really, I thought we were in MLS 1.0.
Yeah, I don't think the.
Did you not see the train? Did you not see the train at the final?
No.
Yo, you didn't see the TIFO?
No, I didn't watch the final. I just fast forwarded through it.
At the TIFO for
I caught
Atlanta,
the last 10 minutes.
They did again some good shiny, placards or little flags or whatever. But it was the raising part of their TIFO was a train, Atlanta and the rails and all that, whatever. It was a train coming through, and stupid thing said MLS 3.0, and I forgot the words were now. On either side, it said, "We won't stop until we get what we want."
Is that the one that was paid for by the front office?
Probably.
No, I mean, no. But I'm sure the front office was involved in this. It depends on how the front office is involved in these things.
If the front office just shows up, if somebody from the front office shows up, drops the suitcase, and just walks away.
Yeah, like no, seriously, if it's something,
if you want to do that on the show here, you can do that.
Yeah.
We can book.
No, but if you're the supporters, you say we want to do this thing. This is this thing. And you're the one who's the people who are in control of everything. That's one thing. Like when we did the 40th anniversary thing to kick off the 40th anniversary season, we worked with the South Side and Rain City to do a display. We went to the front office and said, "Look, we want to do this display. We think it would look great if you could take care of the rest of the stadium that we're not in and take care of that. We'll pay for our end and you pay for that to make it all." And they said, "No, it's too expensive."
Getting back to the listeners, Caleb Wilkins says Boateng, because of his production per 90 minutes, rests no better than what the Caps already have or used to have. No interest in McBean's lack of productivity, but if Hurtado moves on, Ricketts would be a possibly good addition. I think it would be an upgrade over Hurtado.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sam the Flow likes Feilhaber.
Ameni Sabri says Boateng, Feilhaber too old to be a TAM player.
Chris Harrop said Martinez worth a look and still has potential at his young age.
Which is what you said earlier.
So that's it for this section. We'll see the drafts are coming up. Expansion draft on Tuesday. Then we've got stage 1 of the re-entry draft. And then next week is stage 2 of the re-entry draft. We mentioned as well that a player that there was a bit of trade talk for the Whitecaps leaving was Eric Hurtado. So we thought it's a good time, if he's going to leave, to find out what he would like fish and chips wise.
is fish and chips, chips and fish. My, oh my, what a wonderful dish. Put some salt and vinegar on, and you'll be licking your lips.
So Eric, if you're out for fish and chips, do you have salt and vinegar, salt on its own, or salt and sauce of some kind?
Salt and vinegar, like the chips kind?
Yeah.
Oh, I love salt and vinegar chips. I love those, yeah. For sure. I'll have those by myself.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
How much is the fish? How much is the fish? How much is the chips? Does the fish have chips? How much is the fish? How much is the chips? How much is the fish? Does the fish have chips?
Hi, I'm Kakuta Mane. You're listening to AFTN Soccer Show.
Right from the start, I played my part in this show. What if today was yesterday? Who would know? Take your time, don't worry. There's no need to hurry. Anything can happen, given time. You look at me while I'm looking at you. There's nothing in this world that we two couldn't do. I speak of love in a passionate way. Love is in motion, what more can I say? The rate of change is a sign of the times. I had no need to read between the lines. I had no time for anyone else. Guess I must have been in love with myself.
Pete Shelley there, the dearly departed, with Guess I Must Have Been in Love with Myself, from one of his technically 4 solo albums, because his first solo album was in the mid-70s called Sky Yen, which I have a signed copy of. It's unlistenable. It's that weird, you know the kind of music that Yoko Ono did, that
Yes.
weird,
Yeah,
it's kinda
experimental.
like, it's all that. It's really, you can't listen to it.
Yeah.
But it's
You could
like-
listen to it if you're like maybe in a deep trance or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, it's awful. But his other 3 solo albums in the 80s, when the Buzzcocks temporarily split up, are fantastic.
But In Love With Yourself kind of fits Atlanta's theme.
Exactly, which is
Kinda
why I
fits
picked it, because we're going to
excellent.
talk MLS Cup in
Nice
this
segue.
part. And Atlanta, especially their fans, certainly are in love with themselves. So the MLS Cup was on Saturday, and I was joking in the last part. I did watch it. And I've got to say, it was a pretty crap cup final. Portland just never turned up.
That's that kind of fits my whole thing about why Kansas City I felt like was screwed over. Not totally screwed over, but the whole yellow card wasn't a second yellow card, and that's some of that.
That would have been such a better final.
Because I think MLS felt like this was an easy opponent for Atlanta. And I didn't think there was much for Portland to go up against. I agree with you. Sporting fit would have attacked, and it would have been a great going back and forth.
MLS headquarters will have loved Atlanta winning because it fits their marketing to perfection.
Well,
it's just exactly what
it says.
What they needed.
Pay $150 million, invest in your side, and you can win. You can win in 2 years.
I agree with you there.
And the MLS MVP.
Well, this was the for certain people in the Vancouver front office. This was the worst winner that possibly could happen because
Yes,
these guys
that's
actually
true.
spent money.
Yeah. 2 years in a row. The team that has won has been one of the biggest. Well, I guess 3 years in a row.
Yes,
it
is.
Someone made an interesting point. I can't remember who it was. It was someone on Twitter that for the last 3 MLS Cups, although Seattle won one of them, the Western Conference teams have been dominated by the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Only won 2 though, so it doesn't count for much.
But the Eastern Conference teams have been higher spending teams. Sorry, Columbus.
That's 3. That's 3. That's
3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Portland is not getting away from it. They just, I don't know.
But Portland wasn't without their chance. Like I
No,
know
they
the
had
game
the-
was
they
not
had the
great.
chances,
Portland didn't
but-
play at their levels, but they weren't. They were to me. I never felt like they were out of it. Like even I heard Arthur, or even Arthur Blank said, "Oh no, this is after they went up 2-0. This reminds me of the Super Bowl game they lost there when they were like, I think they hosted the Super Bowl or whatever, and their team was like killing it, and then they lost or whatever." The Falcons.
I
against,
only watched the 49ers.
The Falcons against
been a while since I've seen a
the
Super
New
Bowl.
England Revolution pigskin team.
Oh, we should get her. She's
her team. Yeah.
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 She's Boston proud.
The patriotic team. Yeah. So they, to me, I never felt it was over. Even that chance at the end. You could see the chance near the end in the last 10 minutes. They brought on Alvis Powell.
Yeah.
I think not to play right back or something somewhere else, but he was put through and he like totally just gaffed or like mishit.
Well, that's what happens when you put
when he
Alvis
had
Powell
time when he had time to stop and like pass it into the far corner. And
where was Lucas Milano?
Well, that was okay. Where was Armenteros? He wasn't even the 18, right?
I don't know why you're asking me.
Well, because
I don't pick the Portland team anymore.
Yeah, okay. Not anymore. Just when Caleb was there. When they took off Ebobisse and put on Milano, that felt strange.
Right.
And it also felt strange that they didn't take off Polo because Polo was having a bit of a nightmare.
No, he's mint.
No, he was having a nightmare, man. His touch and his control and his crossing passing was not good. And he should have been the first off, and it should have been less than less than 60 minutes into the match.
Would you have pulled him off at half time?
I would not have.
I think,
but I could have seen.
Because I think he disappeared. I think he disappeared on the field because you could hear the Portland players yelling Marco. They were using Marco.
Yeah. Gio Savarese probably should
have pulled him off at halftime. But we'll ask Gio that next year. That's what we're going to ask all the coaches. If there's any halftime subs next year, I'm straight down there with that question. But a guy who didn't disappear, got the goal and the assist. MLS's MVP, which was no big surprise that he got that. 35 goals this year in total. Joseph Martinez.
Yeah.
What a player.
See you later.
Well, did Atlanta keep him?
No, I think he's gone. There's no way.
He said he wants to be in Atlanta as long as they want him.
Yeah, I think Atlanta wants the money first.
Yeah.
They want the money. Well, they invested enough in him. If they don't sell him now,
Atlanta's
at this high, he's going to drop, and the people that money's going to drop too. That people are.
They probably should sell him, but he
Almiron's going.
Well, he's going on loan to Newcastle, is what they say.
To buy.
Yeah, with loan with option to buy. That's crazy. Why would you go to Newcastle? Anyways,
they're going to be a
no offense, Will Silver and all the Magpies.
You go to Newcastle because if you can show you could do it at Newcastle, then you can show you could do it anywhere.
John Harrop, I'm sorry. No, the Gordy, I'm sorry.
Herdman.
Herdy. The first goal, it was like Ibobisse sort of didn't get control in the defender, and it kind of just knocked the ball forward, and it
was a great tackle. Parker's.
It worked out well.
DZ's favorite.
It's not like you call it a great tackle. It's not like he was trying to do that, right? It just
Seemed
felt
like it.
And then on top of that, Antonella came out. I don't know, way too quickly, not at the right angle.
That's what happens when you put Antonella in net.
Yeah, he's not a great keeper.
But yeah, it was a good. I mean, it was a good finish by Martin.
Did you see him against Seattle that one game?
It's done and dusted now. Let's move on. Got new things to look forward to. Who cares? Other MLS news this week. Mark Anthony Kaye, as we talked about, has signed a new 3-year deal, so he's not coming here. But around the MLS Cup, we always get everyone. It's like Santa Claus has come to town.
Well, you talk about sitting down by the fire and having a chat.
Yeah, Don Garber's State of the League address. I know I personally look forward to that every year. Now, a lot of things to come from it. We're going to talk about a lot of things.
This is exciting. I've never been this excited to talk about one of these.
It was Jonathan Tannenwald tweeted out on Friday.
A couple quotes, yeah.
A couple of quotes from it that Don Garber basically called out Greg Kerfoot and Vancouver ownerships that they need to spend this Fonzie money on an exciting talent and they need to replace him.
Now, did you actually you watched it, right?
Yeah, we've got the audio.
How was
up.
the tone?
Well, you'll hear it.
No.
shortly.
How was he like facially? Then how was the video?
I try and not look at his face.
I know you don't want to turn to stone or something like that, right?
I like listening to him because the way that he delivers words is very Donald Trump. Just the way he says certain words and his tone and his just up and down delivery.
Is it because they share a first name?
Maybe every American called Don. But anyway, let's get back to the juicy stuff. You could take it that he called out the front office in Vancouver.
Well, okay.
But
yeah, okay.
Did you take it that way from the quote?
Well, even before something we're going to talk about in a minute, there's no way, in my mind, there's no way he would say something like that publicly without having said it privately. In my opinion, before yes. I saw the newspaper article. However, I think it's nice. Sorry, I was going to say it's good. I think it's nice. I think it's nice to finally see someone of beyond a supporter or a fan call Greg Kerfoot and the Vancouver ownership and the Vancouver FO to some level of accountability, because they ignore it. They heavily ignore it from their supporters, from their fans, from the people in the city, and kind of hold themselves above all of those people. And now someone who has authority above them did call them out, whether he backtracked later or whatever.
Yeah,
he did call them out.
Let's get to that backtrack, because Don Garber's not happy about how things were reported. And he did an interview on TSN before the Cup final on Saturday with Christian Jack and Luke Wildman. And I'll quickly read through this. This is his whole quote. He said, "I think that that reporting was not fair. It wasn't what I said." Now, those words are important. It wasn't what I said, because we're going to play what he said shortly. "Ultimately, Greg Kerfoot is responsible for developing the most valuable player that's ever been developed in Major League Soccer." Not sure how much involvement Greg Kerfoot had in that.
Besides writing the checks.
Yeah.
And to sell him for what he did is an unbelievable statement about his team, about our player development strategy, and about our league being a league of choice. Again, not really sure Alphonso Davies has anything to do with MLS's player development strategy. Now, Greg has got to figure out what he's going to do to ensure that his team becomes competitive, and ultimately, that's a decision that he's going to make. So Greg, if you're watching, you know these media people, he said with a chortle. And then Luke Wildman and KJ chortled with him as I screamed profanities at my screen.
Yeah, seriously.
Because they're supposed to be media people too.
Yes, I know. So, if you haven't heard what Don Garber said, I want you to get the full context. So this is the full quote. Here's what he said.
We need to become more of a selling league. And for those of you who don't, some of you I've got long, close relationships with. As a person who has been selling this league for nearly 20 years, I've always believed that you needed to have the players that resonated in your market to be those that could be aspirations for young kids who are peeking through the fence when they see them train. And we all need to get, over my multi-decades, get used to the fact that in the world of global soccer, players get sold. I reviewed a whole list of them over the last couple of days. Lukaku's 25. I think he's had 4 or 5 teams that he's played for. Now, those clubs and starting at Anderlecht, right? So in those countries, they don't need to worry about building the league. The leagues are already built. So we have this careful balance as to how do you retain your stars and how do you create consistency, which is consistent with the major leagues here in our country, even though they get traded to different cities, but they're still on their broadcast partners and a part of the narrative, where we have a different dynamic. We're part of the global game, part of the beautiful game. So we have been buying for so long, and as we've gone through the analysis, it's hard to justify that investment and the investment that we have to make in player development. We've got to have something that turns this model around, or else it's going to be unsustainable. So when I see Alphonso Davies get sold for what could be $22 million, that's a positive thing for the league. Now, Greg Kerfoot and his club need to use that money to bring somebody in that's going to be as exciting as Alphonso, and that's what happens around the world. And that's what our teams are going to need to do.
So I think pretty obvious he did say they need to... I mean, you can read between the lines, and it doesn't take much reading between the lines, very fine lines. They need to spend this money to get some exciting talent in.
Because the original question wasn't even about Alphonso Davies. It was...
Yeah, it was about...
Players leaving
MLS. Is that good for the league? And should you be trying to bring players in as opposed to players leaving? Do you not want your young players to be playing here? Which is why he starts off by saying...
Yeah.
We need to become more of a selling league.
Yeah. And the thing is like, yes, he wasn't like... It was definitely not a vicious way he said it, but it was definitely... He pointed out the Whitecaps out of all of them. Because Tyler Adams was just sold a little while ago. So the question could have been about Tyler Adams being sold.
But it's only
there was a lot of talk about Tyler Adams before this.
So why did you bring up the Red Bulls and say, well, Red Bulls got to get somebody?
Because Tyler Adams only $3 million, and they only have a part of the sell on, and it was sold within this awkward group of clubs.
Yeah, but guys, you know these media people.
Yeah, you know them.
All that was missing was fake news at the end. Just to tie in with
all he had to say.
Now I get your Trump references.
Yeah.
No, again, he's trying to walk something back that he obviously said. And again, I
think he works for the owners essentially. So if the owners are not happy with him, he's going to have to walk it back.
Well, you do
Commissioners tend to work for the
you're,
owners.
you know, you're right,
Yeah.
Steve. But this is one owner, and if this is an owner who is obviously not in line with many of the other owners.
No.
Right? So
I also feel, though,
their
that when the
approach.
Whitecaps saw that tweet and then heard it, them and Greg Kerfoot will have been furious. There's no way they can have been happy about that.
So,
and they're probably not happy the way it's been reported as well.
But why? Like, this shows how, if that's true, that shows how small these people are. Why would you get mad? This is a good thing. You should want to spend that money to bring in an exciting player.
Yeah, but this is then what I want to ask. And I know it's single entity, but should a commissioner in a State of the League address be calling out a specific owner? Should he be interfering in what these owners spend?
Well, I feel like he pulled a Russell Tybert there.
Well, maybe he doesn't feel like they've been spending enough, like most people.
But should he be interfering in that? Whitecaps are in the league.
Yeah, well, you talk about single entity. Yeah, if he feels it's going to hurt the overall single entity, their approach, then maybe he feels it's best to call them out. And again, I don't think he's calling them out blindly or whatever, even though he tried to walk it back. I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's nice to see someone try and call them to account for their approach. And if they are indeed being all upset or furious about this, again, it shows how they struggle with being in control and being the ones who dictate everything and whatever. And it's probably healthy for them to be called out.
But I think they would say they would like to keep this in the locker room, basically, or in the MLS owners' locker room, and they don't want it let out.
Oh, the private members club's going to be awkward when they have the next meeting.
Yeah.
But there's a few other interesting comments made. So we'll talk a little bit about some stuff I've cut all the questions out just to try and keep this shorter. So some stuff about the playoff format and expansion, DP, stuff like that. So let's just hear a little bit more from the Don.
There's been lots of talk about changes to the playoff format. We've been looking hard at it. We're going to be talking to our board about it next week. My guess is that we're probably going to end up with something that's a little bit different than we have now. But we'll wait to go through our ownership meeting before we formally announce that. The idea here is to continually work on making the regular season become more and more important. So winning in March is as important as winning in September or October. And our playoff format, the one that we're evaluating, I think is really going to place a very, very high emphasis, strong emphasis on the regular season. Well, Grant, this is a big country. I could remember when we first started looking at expansion, and I came in at 12, went down to 10. We went up to 14 in 2005. I don't know that at that time we ever thought we'd be at the size we are now. And there has been so much that's gone on over the last decade or more in this sport that has been empowering a lot of the interest in cities across the U.S. and Canada. So every time that we evaluate what and how large we want the league to be, it really is in the context of what we think the country can support. We've said that we're not going to expand any further in Canada. So now it's looking at those cities that we've been in discussions with, and you know the list. And every time I make that list and I leave one out, and I get all sorts of calls from those very interested expansion groups that I forgot to mention. So there are half a dozen of them. We will grant the 28th team and make that decision sometime in the next 12 months. There's no rush. And then we're going to have to decide if we want to go forward beyond 28 teams. That's a discussion that is taking place. We'll begin to introduce the subject at our board meeting later in the middle of next week. I don't expect that or anticipate that there will be an announcement coming out of that, but there's no doubt in my mind that we can support having more than 28 teams in Major League Soccer. No doubt in my mind. We're constantly meeting as a ownership committee to our product strategy committee to look at ways that we can ensure that we're utilizing our resources to be providing the best possible product on the field. And what is that mix? How many designated players? What should they be charged against the cap? What is the investment in TAM? What kinds of discretionary spending should we have or not have? How do we incentivize our clubs to develop more players and give them more, time on the field? And all of this goes into the pot and gets stirred up. And one of the things that has been discussed is reducing the number of designated players. Certainly no decision has been made. I personally believe that we've got a pretty good formula now. It doesn't have to be that somebody is signing a player for $7 million. You've got lots of designated players that are just above what our maximum salary is that are driving great value for our league. So we'll see how that all works itself out.
So the playoff format.
Playoff format. You heard Don there talking a little bit about the playoff format. He said that the playoff format is going to change, but they haven't agreed on what it's going to be yet.
Did they lose the napkin?
So they basically, there's true what we talked about earlier, that they might change to a 7-team where the top team gets the bye, the only team that gets the bye in the conference, and then one-legged.
They're still not revealing any details, but they've said... Not. Yeah, but we'll get that about 2 weeks before the playoffs start.
They're going to wait to see where teams like LAFC or they are down the road, and then they'll announce it afterwards.
But they'll say the owners all know.
LA are 9th in the West, so the top 9 teams in the West are going through this year. He wants it to be important. He wants the whole season to feel important, and they're going to change the playoff format accordingly. There is no way that you can make games in March as important as games in October. I just can't see how they go about doing that, unless you get bonus points for winning in March or something. Oh no, I've given them an idea. Hey, we do well in March, so maybe that's good. He talked about expansion, and he said, "There's no doubt in my mind that we can support having more than 28 teams."
Which I called
yes.
weeks ago. I think they're going to go either.
So obvious.
They will go to either 30 or 32.
They're going to 32. This is not weeks ago. We've been talking about this for years now. Well, even though he's publicly said, "Oh,
we're not going past 20. We're not going past 24. We're not going past 28."
No, but his last thing was, "Oh, after 28, if it goes after 28, I won't be around by then." That's what he said before.
I mean, they clearly will go bigger is better, right?
Well, if they go to 32, that's going to be two conferences of 16. Then you got 30 games within the conference, and then you probably got 4 crossover games per year.
No, it's not even that.
I think everyone plays each other once then.
No, I was just saying you have 4 games against
everyone
certain
plays
opponents.
each other once.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. You play twice. Your team is in the conference. Mm-hmm. Then you go and you play the other conference. Only 4 teams out of them.
I know.
So once.
I did understand what you said.
Okay, so
that's why I think they won't. They'll play each team once. And you have a 31 game season.
No, I think they're gonna. It's gonna be the East and West is gonna be 2 separate tables, and they're.
You just looked at me like I just said something about your wife.
No, they'll never go 31. They'll always go. They need 34 games. The owners will never go lower than 30.
No, but
maybe they'll go like USL though and just keep East and West, and the two will never meet.
No, but I'm saying
that's what's going to happen.
That could happen, but I'm just saying that there's an option where, like, for example, they want LA and New York to play. They want that.
Yeah.
They'll have like those marquee games.
Like how that Major League Baseball did that. They're like, oh, now we're gonna have interleague play.
And they only play a certain number of teams.
Like
each
Columbus
year.
and Vancouver, that's got to be high.
That's going to be
everyone wants that one.
How many times was that part of like the stupid derby rivalry league?
It's a Kikutamani derby. But yeah, I mean, is there a fear that they can go too big? Because initially it was like, oh, we don't want to be like the NASL. It does feel like there's a lot of really, really good markets, for using business speak, out there.
The sad thing about this is that even though USL is restructuring to have a good possible promotion relegation setup, MLS still remains close to that. And I understand all the reasons why. We don't need to rehash all that right now. But it's unfortunate they don't, because it would be good to have, I think, things where you could see that kind of movement in the long term. It's just one of the reasons why I'm really happy, even though it's down the road and even though, there'll be growing pains or whatever, the Canadian Premier League keeps talking about doing that, setting that up from the beginning, that's where they want to go. That's where they want to be, whereas MLS is kind of chosen this different path.
Now the DP thing, they want to reduce the number of DPs.
Well, he was asked, is that on the cards?
Yeah.
And like he didn't confirm it was, but he just said with all the things like TAM, it's like DPs aren't as important anymore.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
I know. Why would you want to reduce the number of top quality players?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense at all. I think this is maybe something maybe the owners don't want to spend on. They don't want to be forced to say, "Oh, I have to spend buy 3 DPs because they're available." And because all the fans are always saying, "Why aren't you bringing in 3 DPs?"
I wonder what teams might be saying that, Steve.
A number of teams. It's not just the local teams. There's a number of owners that would say that.
Brickshea has killed the DP. They're like, my God, Brickshea's a DP. We've got to get rid of these DP tags.
Brickshea killed the DP tag.
Yeah, it's like video killed the radio star. Brickshea killed the designated player. If anyone wants to make a video for that, go ahead. There was also a question on Pan American League with Mexican clubs.
The NAFTA League.
Garber said he wants MLS clubs to have more international competition. Right away, I was on the phone to East Fife and said, look, get some of these guys over. The belief is there that Liga MX want to play in games beyond the CCL. I love the idea because I would like to see some better games and top quality competition. But I'm not sure how sexy a competition like that would look like. Would it put more meat on the bone with the relationship with Mexican clubs? That was the quote he had. Put more meat on the bone.
I wish the teams that enter would take Champions League seriously. I know some do from MLS, but not all of them do. And I know we've only had 1 year of the change of structure to that, but in the old structure, lots of teams didn't care. In the newer structure, it seems like a couple haven't cared.
So last bit we'll just talk about in this section. Who knows if this is going to work audio-wise or not, but Don Garber was asked about the CPL and what impact that might have on MLS. So let's hear what he had to say.
There's going to be a new professional league in Canada starting next year, the Canadian Premier League. Have you had any talks with the league so far? What do you see the relation being in the next few years, and what does it mean for the 3 Canadian teams that are in MLS right now?
Well, we haven't had any talks with them at all, and that's probably something that should change. We have a very, very close relationship with the CSA, with Steve Reed and Peter Montopoli. You know, I have said from the early days that our commitment to Canadian soccer equals our commitment to American soccer. We've got 3 important clubs up north of our border, and we want to do everything we can to develop players and ensure that we could do our part so that Canada can qualify for the World Cup, perhaps before they might get an automatic bid in 2026. I think that anything that we can do to grow the game domestically on the professional level is going to be good for everybody that cares about the game, and whether that's what's happening with the USL here in the United States or what's happening with the CPL in Canada. What it means for our 3 clubs is something that still needs to be determined. You know, we have teams that have second teams. They need to have a place to play. We continue to expand our rosters. We continue to invest in player development. We want to have our players playing at the highest level. I think Canada and Canadian soccer wants our players to be playing at the highest level so that we can develop the Canadian national team to be as good as it possibly can be.
So, no meetings with the CPL yet, but they really should.
He's not going to meet with anybody. He's leaving it for the teams to deal with them.
When he was up here a couple of months ago, he said he didn't see CPL as a threat. I don't really see why they need to, because it's a
different country.
Yeah. But, yeah, we'll see how all that plays out. We'll see how it plays out as well with player loan deals and second teams and stuff like that as well.
The CPL, we've said it before, the CPL cannot be seen as MLS affiliated teams. I really think that would really hurt them.
But loans are okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's normal player movement around the world. That's fine. But if you are tagged as an affiliate of an MLS team, that is just not helpful in the long run.
Death nail.
Very curious to see where they go with this Whitecaps under-23 team. But we'll be back with more Whitecaps chat after this.
Hi, I'm Marcel de Jong, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Something's gone wrong again. Need a shave.
The Buzzcocks again with Something's Gone Wrong Again. Kind of summed up Vancouver Whitecaps' defence, at least, in the 2018 season. It did feel like time and time again, you'd be looking at games and going, oh, something's gone wrong again. And we're going to talk about the Whitecaps. Part 3 of our Whitecaps Year in Review, May to July, in this part of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. It wasn't a great period for the Whitecaps, and you can definitely point lots of little fingers to say that this is maybe where we went off the tracks a little bit.
Ba-dum, ba-dum.
Boredom. That was the Buzzcocks there with Boredom from their Spiral Scratch EP. My favourite Buzzcocks song. But boredom is not everyone's favourite way of watching football matches. But a lot of Whitecaps fans did feel that the Caps served up some boring games this year. And I've said several times, I don't care whether it's boring on the pitch as long as you get the 3 points at the end of it. If you get the job done, that's all that matters. People also say the Whitecaps aren't a draw in MLS.
Not a draw on the road, you're talking about? Yeah.
It's not a team that really attracts things. But they were a big draw in May, or they drew a lot in May, rather, I guess. They drew 4 of their 5 matches in May. They lost the other. So 4 points taken from a possible 15. 6 points dropped at home. The pressure was starting to mount on Robbo as the unrest grew amongst a chunk of the fan base. And it started badly. 1-0 loss to 10-man Minnesota side.
Now, they were disadvantaged in that game because they did have that extra guy.
Yeah, and they weren't used to having that
That's
extra
a massive disadvantage for them constantly.
I mean, having 11 players on the pitch is just impossible to play with.
There's too many. There's no room to move around.
Exactly. It's like clogged.
The other team had a clear advantage. They 10 people.
We did manage to outshoot Mini 19-4, but they won 1-0. Just, again, dominating possession, showing possession counts for nothing.
It was that one day when Bobby Shuttleworth decided to be a goalkeeper.
Yeah. After that, though, 4 draws. 2-2 home draw with Houston.
I'm going to say that's kind of going to happen again.
You're right. Next week, 2-2 home draw, but this time at home to San Jose.
And then?
You'll never guess what happened next.
Why not? Tell me.
2-2 draw. At Dallas.
At Dallas? So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Dallas. Yeah. That's not so bad.
But they did shake things up to end the month. 3-3 draw. Yeah. Home to New England.
Yeah, those 6 points dropped at home.
Yeah. It's like the draw in Dallas was a great result, really. Especially it was that you were fighting from behind, and like who does not like coming from behind? Anyone?
Not me.
Exactly. Great feeling when that happens. It makes you just explode all over the place with joy.
I personally think they should have had they really over the whole playoff. They should have had 7 points in that month more. Yeah. Because they should have drew Minnesota at least.
We were scoring.
They should have beat Minnesota.
I know, but I'm just saying on the road you expect to draw Minnesota because you're on the road. They should have been undefeated, 3 wins, 2 draws instead of 4 draws and a loss.
Well, that's the thing. You've got 4 games. You've scored 9 goals. You think, well, you must have taken quite a lot of points from those matches. It's like, yeah, but you also gave up 9 goals.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now,
it wasn't even a clean sheet as Steve style.
No. We've talked about it before. Hindsight's a great thing. If the Queen had balls, she'd be the king. Zach's favourite saying, I believe he uses that in his sermons now.
No.
No?
Oh, man.
At least drop a QBK in the sermon.
No.
Just say QBK.
Do it in your Christmas thing.
Yeah.
No.
If Mary Magdalene had balls, she'd be Joseph or something. Do it for me, come on.
Let's keep it
Does
Queen.
that not work?
Let's keep it Queen into the King.
Okay, we'll keep it Queen. But, yeah, we were dropping points all over, and a lot of them were to lower teams as well. We said at the time that it would come back to bite us in the bum, one of Robbo's favourite expressions. And by the end of May, our ass was bleeding with the amount of teeth marks all over it. You've got to say that. It was a month where we kept having to come back in matches. We gave up a 90th minute goal to Houston, and then we needed a 94th minute one from Kendall to salvage a point.
The miss of the year was in that game against Houston. Brek Shea.
Oh.
No, it was in his contract.
It was still Brexit related. We needed Reyna's first goal of the season.
I feel like whenever I say Brek Shea, it's going to be like, I'm just going to hear contract.
He probably feels that as well.
Yeah.
But does Greg Anderson.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We needed Reyna's first goal of the season to salvage a point against San Jose. 2 goals in the last 8 or 18 minutes, if you want to add on all the stoppage time, in Dallas to earn that point, which was great. We were never ahead against New England before Teixeira completed his hat-trick and got a point, keeping his shirt on this time. Great fighting spirit, you've got to say that. Tip your hat to them. But it's a huge problem when you're having to keep coming back. I mean, what do you put that down to? Why were we falling behind all the time?
Mental weakness on the back line or defense, whatever you want to say. I don't even blame the back line. I blame the whole team, or especially the midfielders.
Yeah. You agree, Zach?
Simple as that.
Yeah, I also remember the scene. It was like and you guys can correct my poor memory, but it seemed to be a little bit, in some cases, especially San Jose, like playing down to the team's level.
Yeah.
Right? Which has been an on-again, off-again thing in the MLS era.
I mean, hopefully that's now the end of it, and we're going to have different attacking football under MDS.
But that's happened with more than one coach in the MLS era.
But not only do we play down to the level, we play up to the level, which makes it even more frustrating because you're playing.
Yeah.
When you play the good teams, you play well. You tie Dallas in Dallas, which is a tough place,
right?
And then you drop points at home, easy teams.
And as you like to commonly say, the coach can only do so much. It's when the players go out on the field.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I mean, any one of those draws, you turn that into a win. That's the playoff. That's the sad reality of it, really. And again, hindsight is a great thing. And every team can pinpoint where they've lost points and how they could have done better.
But this was a significant stretch.
It was. And the slow starts were not helping. And at some point, you can't keep coming back. You can't keep giving 2 goals up and expect to get things from matches either. One of the players who had a really slow start was Jordi Reyna. Now, he had a great year in the end. He got 6 goals and 11 assists, matching the goals that he got last year. He did play more games this year, 8 games more. 11 assists, fantastic. Again, what do you put that slow start to? Was it his off-field troubles?
In Peru?
How could it not be?
Yeah, I think...
Well, everyone kept saying, no, he's fine, he's good, he's balanced, he's mentally in.
What else are they going to say?
Yeah,
they're going to say, no, he's not really
exactly.
fit. He's not really mentally ready.
We in those kind of situations...
I like honesty.
In those kind of situations, you can't take the word of the coaches or the front office because they're looking out for the player. They don't want to put the player in a bad position. But you can tell clearly that when a player's struggling like that, when they have the ability to play at a high level, it's something that's bugging them. And it's clearly that it was that. It's hard not to believe when you're in that situation.
I still feel, I know, like he's an important player to us. I just feel he is a guy, like if we want to make a big splash and bring in a guy from another team, Reyna's your guy to trade.
I don't think he's going to want to be here. With all the people that have moved and who are going to move, I don't think he's going to be super excited about being here. I mean, I guess he might have one good chum in, Anthony.
What if they bring a Peruvian, a striker or another Peruvian box-to-box midfielder or somebody that he knows and
like Raul Diaz?
Yeah.
Reyna could be the guy that unlocks Blundell.
That's true.
Maybe they'll have
freeze him.
Yeah. They might have
They
might have a celebration like Fonzie and Kaid, like do your Wakanda celebration or something.
Wakanda.
What's it called? Wacky. Wakanda. What's Wakanda? Is that where we're going in Hawaii in February when the Caps send us there? Awesome. 3 matches in June because it was the World Cup break or bye week, as if we want to call it what it is. We won against Colorado.
Away.
We won against Orlando.
At home.
Taking a winning streak to 6. 4 draws, but winning streak to 6, you take what you've got. Then we lost to Philly before the bye week. And it's always a question as to what's the team going to come back like. This is when Steve will mention Montreal.
Well, the lost to Philly was after the bye.
Was Philly after the bye?
Yes.
Oh.
That's why that was the comeback.
Pure and inconsistent is the answer. That's how we came back then.
I remember that year when they played Montreal.
He's going to be an old man sitting on a park bench.
2014.
I remember.
Yeah. It was 2014, right?
Yeah. I still remember 9 defenders that we played against.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've set him off. What was the score that day,
Just
Steve?
don't mention
Goalless,
Alain
goalless
Rochette.
draw.
Don't mention Alain Rochette, or else we'll go here.
He was gone by then.
I know.
Yeah.
July saw some real highs and some real lows.
Started low, man.
5 matches, 2 wins, 3 losses.
Canada Day.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 losses to start the month, including that Canada Day game.
1-0 at home to Colorado
Yeah.
on Canada Day. That was bad.
We had 2 Scots in the lineup.
Canada Day debacle.
Yeah. I did an interview with Sam Nicholson after that game that I've never run. I just remembered it.
Oh, let's play it now.
Yeah, okay.
How about for the Christmas?
Yeah, we'll save Sam for Christmas. Nothing says Christmas like an angry Scottish guy. Hence the Grinch. I'm going to see that tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, that Colorado loss was particularly unforgivable. The 3-1 loss to DC, I think you could kind of maybe say it was expected. It was the opening of the new stadium. Goal. But yeah, we talked about potentially goal of the season, but it meant nothing. So
it was still a great goal.
Yeah, it made you feel less crap at the end of the game, did it?
And it might have added $1 million or $2 million to the selling price. You never know.
But I think all those performances were kind of put into perspective because the Whitecaps went down to Seattle. And that 2-0 loss down there was something else.
You skipped the Voyageurs Cup. Okay.
I'm just looking at MLS.
Okay, sorry.
I actually forgot all about the Voyageurs Cup. That kicked off and yeah.
Well, we beat
we'll come to
Montreal.
that in a sec then.
We beat Montreal.
Let's get down to Seattle.
There's your recap.
Let's get down to Seattle.
Yeah.
How are we getting there?
I went the night before.
Oh.
Or did I?
I went the morning of.
I was there in spirit.
Actually,
So were some of the players, I think. Yeah. They weren't there physically.
I feel like I was there more than they were.
That was the first Seattle MLS era game that I went and I think arrived at shortly before, right about kickoff.
Shocking.
It was weird.
Oh no, I did go down in the morning, and it was a nice breakfast brunch. I remember that in the press box.
That's clearly what happened. They didn't feel your presence before the match. It was too late by the time kickoff happened.
And then we went home. That was it. So then after that, 2-0 loss.
Juarez was on the pitch going, "Where's Zach? Where's Zach?"
He grabbing the referee, going, "Where's Zachary Meisenheimer?"
That was Danielle had a unfortunate.
Yes,
moment,
he didn't have a great start to that match.
That wasn't handball, right?
Handball, bad tackle, falling over, me shouting abuse at him. Yeah, all those things. It was a nightmare.
And then Effie was trying to raise the spirits of the squad.
Yes. Yeah, Effie got sent off. Arguably the sending off of the year, but you've still got to share his jersey.
He thought the referee was a table, I think. He was trying to rearrange him.
He's passionate, man.
I still think Brek Shea's contract is the send off of the year. It sent him off in Vancouver with $745,000.
Effie spoke on the Monday and he was very apologetic. He knew he'd let everyone down. Yeah. He let himself down.
That was nice.
But it's passion.
Yes.
I get that. I like players with passion. We're going to buy him out, probably.
Oh, yeah, I've seen the reports of that.
Yes, there has been reports, and we'd heard about this a little bit ago, and we didn't say anything about it. But the rumours are we are going to use our one buyout to buy out Effie Juarez's contract.
I kind of remember I said this on the show or to you guys after, but when we were talking to MDS or whatever, we're like, have you talked to your new bosses about the one buyout clause for your? And he just looked at us. it was a very much. And then he looked at long pause and then just a slight nod. And then he didn't say anything else.
That's a shame because that was one of my favourite interviews this year.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoyed speaking to Effie. He was such a nice guy.
I hear he's going to take the buyout money and open up an IKEA franchise in Mexico.
Why would that be?
Furniture. He likes rearranging tables.
You'd lost me there. I thought he was going to put someone through a table. I thought we were doing a wrestling
chest bump
throwback
table?
there. After that Seattle game, though, Robbo kept the media, 3 of us, waiting for 50 minutes before he spoke. After he tore a strip off the players, he said.
Well, didn't the players also then... Was that the day they kind of...
Yeah, they seem to have a meeting and... Yeah. But yeah. Let's get the quick news out fast after that. The Whitecaps said, we're going to sell Alphonso Davies to the Bayerns.
Yeah.
That is their nickname, isn't it? The Munchers? Is that it?
The Reds.
The Red. That's their nickname. Seriously.
So I remember somebody on Twitter reported that there were a whole bunch of German cars around in this area where he lived or
Yes.
something. I remember that. That was a report of that.
Yeah, they annexed the street apparently.
Yeah. Blitzkrieged it.
Yeah. So, yep, the Whitecaps get 22 million. Bayern Munich get Alphonso Davies and possibly the Sudetenland back. There's still a little bit of negotiations there. I did world history at school. What can I say? I wanted to be a history teacher.
That's a deep, deep, deep cut.
It was, I don't know, more exciting than the Versailles Treaty. That's all I've got. I can't go even.
I feel like we're going to have footnotes for this podcast so people can look up this stuff.
How you feeling now about that move?
I think it's a good move for him.
Robin's saying that he's going to be leaving Bayern.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. Ribéry.
Official. No, Ribéry is technically not official.
No, not official, but there are a lot of people saying that it's going to happen.
Yes.
Including our friend Manuel Wirth.
Yeah. But he'll say anything anti-Bayern because he's Zexig.
And Fonzie scored.
He's 59 plus 1.
Fonzie scored 3 goals this week.
In training?
No, some weird exhibition game or youth game or something.
Oh, he was allowed to play?
It was a friendly.
Did I dream this? I could have sworn I read this, but I maybe I didn't.
Yeah, no, I think it's great for Alphonso Davies.
Yes.
This was a good time to get out of Vancouver, and he's going to what I think is the greatest football club in the world in terms in terms of how it's run and its history. Obviously, this particular moment in history is not super great for them, but in general, it's a proper football club, and I think they'll treat him well, and I think they'll develop him well. I have talked to people, and I've heard things like if Niko Kovac, the coach, does get sacked, which is a possibility, that could hurt Alfonso's future or immediate future.
I don't know, man. Thomas Mueller's got his hand on his shoulder in so many pictures. It's unbelievable.
Mats Hummels. He was Mats Hummels today.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, No, because Kovac is the one who said, "Yeah, I'm bringing you in, and I'm bringing you into play here." So
Yeah.
I kind of hope Kovac doesn't go for that.
I don't think they'll sack him they'll sack him at the end of the year. So maybe he'll get some time.
No, it's not how it works at Bayern.
Okay,
this is not Vancouver.
I know we sacked our coach before the end of the year.
Bayern have had a difficult start to the season, but they won this weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, the Bavarian derby against Nuremberg.
Nuremberg. That rings a bell to my
There
skill.
were some hearings there. There were some hearings.
I heard something about Nuremberg. Yeah.
Fonzie did come back after the sale and had a stunning performance against Minnesota.
Yeah, it was another 2-2.
Yeah.
No, it was 4-2.
No, he had got 2 goals and 2 assists.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
A double-double, as they say.
He boxed up Minnesota like big time, just like box to box and box past Boxel and
Boxy.
Yeah.
Boxy got married this offseason.
Good for him.
Very happy for him.
Yeah.
Congratulations to those sheep.
I know that bombshell.
No, but are we talking about the Voyageurs Cup or no?
Okay, yeah. Something else happened.
Yeah.
I'd kind of blocked the Voyageurs Cup out of my complete memory, mainly because of how it ended.
Right. Yeah, it did not end great.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about the Voyageurs Cup.
1-0 loss in Montreal. 2-0 win at home.
Mm-hmm.
Always great to beat Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Then...
Are we going? No, that's it. Because the rest is in August. We're not going to August.
Yeah.
We're not going to August, are we?
Marinovic returned in that Montreal game too, away game, I think, right? That was his first game back after that long injury.
Yeah, August is next week.
Yeah. So we'll get to the rest later.
Yeah. So how are you feeling then by the end of July? Because we know that time's kind of our notorious slump. We didn't really have all these travels to weird places because the schedule was a lot better.
But I think they kind of avoided. I think they avoided that July, August slump by doing it in May.
What were you?
That's one way.
That's one way to avoid it.
I know, we finished the month. We're proud of Fonzie. That's the best thing to say. So let's finish this section with something I'm proud of.
Oh.
Wavelength.
Wait, let me guess. Buzzcocks or Shellington?
No.
What's his name?
Pete
Shelley.
Shelley? Pete Shelley.
Played
I don't think he did a soccer song, did he?
He didn't, no.
No.
But this is a corker. This is from 2014. by a Glaswegian act called Lonely Tourist. It's actually a guy called Paul Tierney, who is also the name of an Irish footballer. Who
Also a name of a footballer from MLS, is it?
Oh,
maybe Paul's not his first name.
Ah.
Tierney, he played for the Revolution.
Oh,
New
yeah,
England.
that's a different guy.
Okay.
That's Chris Tierney, was it not?
Yeah, maybe you're right.
But Paul Tierney was a Republic of Ireland youth international. They had high hopes. He went to Man United. Never quite lived up to what was expected, and then just went plummeting down the depths of the lower leagues of English football, ending up in Scotland. This is the ballad of Paul Tierney.
You're the best player the skills had, son. You're the only talent in that dressing room. If it was up to me, you'd stay here and teach with me. But the scouts are crying out for a left back with your pacing clown. Within 6 months it's Man United. Through the ranks where George Best started. Young player of the year, a glittering career, seemed as predictable as rain falling on the streets of Wally Range. So where does it go wrong when the artist leaves the building and you don't get an encore? Why is it very likely the third album's in at 22? It's not a patch on the debut. Big break comes one Wednesday night, 20 minutes off the bench against the team in relegation fight. But it's Paul who gets the blame for the goal that cost the game. And another cup upset costs more than just some coupon bets. The gaffer wants a word with you. We're sending you on loan to Crewe. You can get some first team games, you can forget about the fame, and it's what's best for you now, and we'll have you back if it works out. So where does it go wrong when the artist leaves the building and you don't get an encore? Why is it very likely the third album's in at 22? It's not a patch on the debut. From Crewe, Colchester, Blackpool, Livy, Altrincham and Stockport County. His career at every foul, and he really kicked a ball and retired at just 30. It's the saddest tale you'll ever hear, but is it really career failure? 'Cause I have never been a Man U player. Would he say honestly he would rather have been me, but I would rather have been him? 'Cause I've never heard the fans all sing. Where does it go wrong when the artist leaves the building and you don't get an encore? Why is it very likely the third album's in at 22, but everyone liked the debut? And the fans sing.
Lonely Tourist there from 2014 with the ballad of Paul Tierney, Paul Tierney. There have been a lot of players over the years that folk expected them to do so well. I mean, we talked about Fonzie there, and folk are expecting him to do well in Bayern, and you expect him to, you hope he's going to. There is always the possibility that he can't make it at that higher grade, and when he's in at this higher level that he can't do it. And maybe the most famous example from North American players like that, Freddie Adu. Any other players that kind of spring to your mind that you had such high hopes for?
I have
and just
one,
didn't
but
do
I
it?
think Steve's going to say the same one.
No, I was just going to say that I don't think he's anything like Freddie Adu. Because Freddie Adu came in high at 15, but then you quickly...
14.
Yeah,
Right?
14 or 15, and you quickly saw how quickly he crashed. Alfonso has been on an upswing since 15. So
I don't
there's
think
no
he
way.
will, but I'm just saying things like that do happen.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Go ahead, Michael.
For me, the one Canadian example is Henson Boakai.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
There's some hope.
He's still out there somewhere. I think probably in like one of the Eastern European
Finland
teams.
or something, did he not?
He's currently in Finland.
Oh, is he?
Well, he's supposed to. Well, he already has a 29 team lined up in Inter Turku, and he played at a different team, Ekinas. I'm not going to try and pronounce the rest of them, but yeah, he played. He played in Finland. Scored six goals in 23 matches.
But there's so many like Canadian players out there that they've been named Canadian Youth Player of the Year, and then it didn't.
Oh yeah,
and this is all because
Bryce Alderson.
And the main reason it was because they didn't have anywhere to play.
Well, yeah, this year, Boakai, this year is the first year where he played he's played 23 matches. He only played 6 games in the 3 previous years, basically.
Like a guy for example, he probably maybe didn't have very much, but at the time there was a lot of talk about Ethan Gage. Like a lot of people thought he was going to do something.
Yeah,
not to be
Gage was full.
Not be a superstar, but he thought it'd be something.
Yeah. He's back in Sweden again.
Yeah. Sweden.
These are the players I do expect to see in the CPL down the road.
Down the road.
Anyway, we're going to have some CPL talk and some Canadian women's national team talk and a lot more after this.
I'm David Edgar, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And Steve, tell us what that music was, because it was non-Buzzcocks.
No, it was the theme song for a favorite of mine, favorite wrestler, Dynamite Kid, when he was wrestling in Japan.
Oh.
It's got the song called Car Wars. I don't know what it had to do with anything. I think it was just somebody just brought 2 words together and put it in there. But he was like a favorite of mine, one of the most forward-thinking wrestlers. You've probably seen him wrestle too a little bit, right? Anybody you see today, like a Daniel Bryan, a Seth Rollins, a Chris Jericho, all were influenced by Dynamite Kid. Came through. I saw him at first Calgary Stampede Wrestling, but he's had huge matches in thing. He's one of the toughest guys. One time he had a broken back, but the British Bulldogs were tag team champions, and they had to give it up, the title. So basically, he had to be walk with a broken back to the ring, and he just stood on the apron while Davey Boy Smith lost the belts.
Now, you said he is one of the toughest guys. He was.
He passed away this week, yeah. And he was not.
Cheery show.
He definitely wasn't a pleasant guy either, from what a lot of people say. He was a pretty much a bastard, if you want to call it. And
he was English.
Chris Jericho told a story about how he talked to him in a bar or something, and he just told him to F off kid when Jericho was a kid.
Who hasn't done that, though?
No, who hasn't? To Jericho?
No, it's to anyone. Oh. I'm grumpy.
I don't think I have.
Oh.
No, but a great guy. Obviously, British Bulldog went away a little while ago, and now Dynamite Kid.
And he was one of the first guys that you got watching in wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Brought me into it. One of my favorites. And I just tweeted about, I mentioned them the day before he passed away. So, yeah.
I know, it's like the Buzzcocks. I was just looking at their gigs that they had planned for 2019, and they had a great gig coming up in June at the Albert Hall that I was thinking of maybe even going over to. It was them, Fife punk band The Skids, and Penetration, who I love Penetration. But sadly, that will no longer be happening. We're going to do BC Soccer Web headlines in this part, but just before we do, I just want to read some tweets from some of our listeners that we've got from during the show. Joe Knutson says, McBean, no. Matix, no. Ricketts, maybe. He says, Blondell and Coline figure in our mix, so I'd say it'd be nice to get 2 forwards that are Vela and Rossi-like. So he'd say no to Ricketts, but he's someone like Movisissian. He says, we need a good number 10 to be successful, and he's not had that in RSL in Chicago, so to quote Caleb, a hard no.
I'm not sure it's pronounced Knutson, but...
It's not.
Joel's a good guy. He works at BC Place.
I would say Knutson.
I think it was Knutson, probably.
No.
I think you're correct, Steve, on the pronunciation. Point for Steve.
Chris Harrop, he says, what about Jose Villarreal? He's a bit of an enigma, hasn't played much at all. There could still be something there. Might just be a case of finding the right coach and club situation for him to find his form.
How many rocks are we going to overturn to find some crabs that might turn into king crabs?
But the thing is, if you have a good feeling, like I think a couple years ago, was it last year, Zardes from Galaxy?
Jizzy,
was picked up.
I would take Jizzy.
But he was picked up by the Crew. And look at a good season he had.
19 goals.
Yeah, but that wasn't a nothing pickup. That was like there was lots of TAM and
No, that was
it Ola Kamara
draft, wasn't it?
No.
Was it a trade?
Yeah, it was part of the Ola Kamara, wasn't it?
I thought he was in the draft or something.
There was lots of money involved there.
I take
that wasn't a nothing trade.
I stand corrected.
I was thinking about Jizzy over the weekend, and I thought he could be a guy we could make a play for to replace Kamara. I wouldn't be averse to that.
I would like to interview him, actually.
Mm-hmm. Because then we could have, he's just a rascal, Jizzy Rascal. He's just a rascal, Jizzy Rascal.
No,
you don't know that song?
I don't think that's going to happen, Michael.
Oh.
I still say my number one target is Albert Ellis to play on the wing from within MLS.
Rather have Albert Ellis.
I want Kyoto on the other side.
Graham Took at Chelsea Took says, I like Mulholland. Cheap, I think. Box-to-box midfielder. Brenton replied to that, though. I think he was decent about 3 years ago. Whitecap Scarf says 170,000 salary for Zach McMath, more than Marinovic. If he is the backup, that's too much. I'm not sure he's going to be the backup though. Peter Hicken talked about we're talking about, who was it that had been sent off twice?
What's his name?
PC. Oh yeah, Jizzy, not Jizzy, Giro.
Hero. It's pronounced.
It's just in my
I think it's pronounced Hero if you read the press release.
It's Hero.
Hero. He's from the Framed Club. Corinthians.
We're holding out for a hero.
The Framed Club.
So he is Brazilian, so you expect it to be like a Japanese pronunciation on his name. Hero.
Why?
Because didn't a lot of Brazilians play for Japan initially, like when they were first around the World Cup?
Yeah.
So I thought there was a connection there, maybe.
Anyway, Peter Hickens says, I watched one of those games where he was sent off. He got Ted Uncled. Uncle sent off 3 Orlando players for that one.
Oh, I remember that.
I remember that as well. He says it wasn't his fault. I do remember that. Joel Knutson sent us another tweet that says, McMath has been $, and if not for Colorado's Damasery signing Howard, he would still be the number one keeper. 8,000 more than Marinovic, but better. Command of the net. Better command of the net. Only way to lose is if he gets outplayed, which if so, so be it. Our goalkeeping problems are none. On to the rest of the team now. So he's very confident.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the one thing that was solidified this week, was there's 3 keepers, that's it.
And the last tweet from Caleb Wilkins, who, I haven't said this for a while, come and join AFTN, Caleb. You tweet us so much. Leave 86 forever. Come and write for AFTN. We really want you, man.
AFTN forever.
Yeah.
Are there any opening spots?
Oh, we've always got opens, and I'll tamper with anyone to get them on AFTN. So there we go. But anyway, Caleb says, and this has put him even higher in my thoughts. When we have this Mad Hat Megor extravaganza, can we have this song which features a guy who looks like he's just come from his job in accounting? So he's done a YouTube video of a song I haven't seen of Mad Hat, so I might have to include that. Anyway.
Up the Mad Hatters.
Yes. Now, it's time for BC Soccer Web Headlines. BC Soccer Web Headlines is brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national and international news, stories, links and a lot more beside. Make it part of your daily routine, morning, noon and night. Check out bcsoccerweb.com. And what has been catching those glorious blue pool eyes of yours this week, Steve?
Oh, some big news. First of all, let's do a couple updates.
Who's in prison this week, Steve?
Huh?
Who's in prison this week, Steve?
We'll talk about that later. Copa Libertadores finally had their second leg.
Yes, and I haven't got a chance to see the highlights yet because I was out today.
Oh, let's not spoil it.
I know the result.
Okay.
I know who won. Yeah.
So River won 3-1 over Boca Juniors, 5-3 on aggregate.
After extra time.
Yeah. So congratulations to them, not to the fans or the rioters.
Riot. They did riot.
Whatever they did. Football violence.
Oh, that's coming up in February.
Yeah, I know. It's a good month for it. There's a Man City is actually in the headlines a little bit here and there. First of all,
because they lost.
Well, they lost also, but then they're also facing apparently repercussions for misleading UEFA on finances. This is coming from the football leagues. No chair for Michael this week. They're going to be reopening previous cases that they had been previously closed. This all could lead to a ban from Champions League next year. Which means the fifth place team from the English Premier League would advance instead of them.
That's assuming they're going to finish in the top four.
There's also obviously because of this they would lose money from playing in the Champions League, and probably a transfer ban too would be in order.
And I feel that would make Dwayne Rollins unhappy, so that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
it would make my nephew very unhappy too.
It would. It's almost like UEFA's not going to shake Pep's hand.
Yeah, and I don't think he wants to shake theirs.
More Man City news.
Yeah, Raheem Sterling. He was in that Chelsea game that you talked about.
Yeah.
He was. There was some kind of racial taunt. Now, he laughed it off at the time. You could see him laughing it off. And the next day, he actually wasn't even bothered. Right, he had an Instagram post. He says he wasn't even bothered by what was going on there. He was more upset at the way the newspapers are kind of taunting, getting people all riled up.
And he gave
this.
two really interesting examples.
Yeah.
I read this to my wife today, and she was like, "What?"
So essentially, these are the headlines.
She doesn't understand me.
Now, one is a black player, one's a white player, and you can guess which one was who voted for which headline fit which one. First headline: Manchester starlet Phil Foden buys a new £2 million home for his mum. Second headline: young Manchester City footballer 20 on £25,000 a week splashes out on mansion on the market for £2.2 million despite having never started a Premier League match. That's a one hell of a headline, long too. So, guess which one is for which?
I'm going to guess that the black player was the second one.
Yes, you're right.
Because I read that earlier.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it was incredible.
They are months apart, and obviously, as we know, the people that write the articles don't tend to do the headlines.
Yeah, we were always used to say that.
Yeah,
I didn't write the headline.
Both players also play for Man City in that example as well.
You allow me to write the headline sometimes for the match report if I have enough time to write it.
If it's a good pun.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And alliteration too.
Yeah.
You like alliteration, I know.
Now, they were talking about this morning on TSN or Sportsnet, whatever channel had the game.
No, only for the rest of this year. DAZN next year.
Yes. Looking forward to that.
Please, just get the Bundesliga on. I want the Bundesliga somewhere I can watch every
I want FA Cup, so I don't have to get Sportsnet World.
Nobody's confirmed that yet. It's just reports.
Yes, it was in the Athletic. But yeah, they talked about this Raheem Sterling thing today, and they showed the clip, which they said was of the incident where he was being racially abused, and he laughed it off. Now, if that was the exact clip that they showed, it was four guys in the front row.
Yes, they were saying one of the guys, and somebody said that if you read their lips, you can tell what they're saying. And
so it was those guys in the front row.
It was in the article. One of the articles I saw, they circled the guy with the white hair and the glasses.
Because
I think it was him wearing a blue jacket.
There's five guys. There's three guys, one guy, and another guy. So the three guys are shouting. The guy in the end is shouting, and then this guy here, the second from the left, is not shouting. He's black in amongst these guys that are apparently doing this racial abuse.
I didn't notice that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
you're in the front row, racially abusing a guy. What are you thinking of?
No.
So do you think something's going to happen to them because they've been identified?
I'm pretty sure they're going to...
but everybody has said that it seems like only one guy was shouting it.
Yeah.
The racial...
They
were
all shouting him. And it's like, I've verbally abused players, not racially, but I've verbally abused players from the front row of a football match before. Once with a megaphone. You'd have been proud of me. So much so that the player said, I'm going to come and shove that megaphone up your ass.
And that made you proud.
Yeah. I was at Montrose, I remember it well.
Oh, it was going to be Swangard.
Oh, no.
Okay, so
That was
yeah,
Peter
It was
Byers.
our own player.
it's an interesting story, and then I think if I'm not mistaken, Stan is Stan Collymore. He used to be a former footballer.
Yes.
He
Nottingham
wrote
Forest,
Got a
Liverpool.
lot of racial abuse.
he wrote an editorial, actually, I think it was today, in one of the papers, and he basically said this is not going to change. This stuff is not going to change. There's no point, like, even discussing it at this point. A lot of people are saying it's getting worse and worse.
Racism is getting worse.
Yeah.
I'd retweeted some guy's quote who was basically saying that with racism at football and all this other racism, it's like we've gone back to the 1960s.
Yeah.
Well, do you really think because it's bad or getting worse, you should stop trying to combat it?
No.
That doesn't sound...
No, Collymore was just...
I don't think we were.
No, but
campaigning for
Collymore.
that.
Collymore in the article would just seem like a frustrated guy that just
Okay.
didn't see the end of it. That's what he was trying to say.
Which is, it's for him to share his perspective. I just, I don't think saying, oh, it's on the uprise and it's
It's interesting because we don't think it happens over here. You never hear folk talking about it. It would maybe be interesting to have players talking about social issues like that and just their thoughts on it. Like some of the guys, Jordan Much, maybe get him to give his thoughts.
But Michael, you and I have been
a guy that's come over from England.
You and I have been around long enough that we have seen the culture change, right? And
Yes.
we've seen people.
Oh, well, you know what it was like at Swangard.
Swangard was a whole different kettle of fish. But even in Swangard, I remember
not racial, just to stress, but there was,
not racial.
There was things that definitely crossed the line.
There was some. I remember one dude who was a long-standing Southside guy, long-standing Voyageur guy, who there was some things said to Montreal. There was a chant for Montreal that he just he lost his he just said, I can't be here anymore. I got to leave because of stuff that was said. But you've seen it change.
Yeah,
you've seen it drastically change.
Yeah.
The next story, it's a good thing they didn't play the Copa Libertadores final in France because it most likely was going to get postponed. Half the league matches
I think it was
postponed.
the Boca and River Plate fans that got lost.
Yeah. Half the matches for the French league were postponed. They were because of the request from the government and police, only because they didn't think the games were in danger of like that, but
police were needed elsewhere.
Yeah, they were needed elsewhere. They're spread thin. They didn't feel like they could offer enough security for the actual games. MLS transactions, some other ones that happened today. Tyler Adams, we talked about before at the RP Leipzig for $3 million with a 33% sell-on fee. Pat Onstad, former Canadian goalkeeper, was named interim GM of the Columbus Crew after Berhalter, who I think held both positions, was named the U.S. manager, U.S. national team manager. Caleb Porter is being interviewed by the Columbus Crew. The rumor is that. Jordan Morris has signed in a 5-year extension with Seattle. 3 years guaranteed. The first two apparently are team friendly, but apparently it averages about $1 million per year. So I'm assuming a lot of that money will be on the backside of it. Then they might sell him off after a couple of years to see what he does. We talked about Max Arudi going to Montreal. It was for $75,000 TAM and the 10th overall pick in this year's draft. Sorry. Taisho Akindele, former Canadian, current Canadian international, he hasn't retired yet, to Orlando for $150,000 TAM and $50,000 GAM. I think he was the most expensive player.
I don't understand how Max Arruti can go to Montreal for 75 TAM and Tesho goes for 150 TAM and 50 GAM.
The 10th overall pick, I would estimate, would be worth about 150 to 200.
No, that's way more.
In past trades.
No, last year was top 5 or top 4 picks.
Was that?
Two that went for that. Yeah.
Okay, then maybe it's 100 or so. Then you add that, yeah. But I still agree that that's a lot for Taisho Akindele. Yeah. I was surprised about that.
Honestly, I think Tesho, there's a lot of upside. He's one of the guys I thought, maybe that's a Canadian that MDS might want to bring to Vancouver.
I'd have taken Max Arruti, but obviously they're not going to sell him to a rival.
After last bit of news, this kind of came in late. After the final in Madrid, River player Gonzalo Pity Martinez, his middle name is Pity for some reason, nickname.
Must be going to Portland.
He's leaving and he's going to Atlanta United.
Oh no, he can't go to Portland. No Pity.
50 million euro release clause, and a lot of people are saying that he could be the replacement for Almiron. Because he is a midfielder.
There were a couple other smaller transfers in MLS.
Yeah, I didn't.
Herbers.
Yeah,
Herbers went from the Union.
I don't even know who that is. Some CPL news. A quick one here. Pacific FC, they revealed a secondary logo.
Yeah, which I quite like. I don't see the point of it, but I quite like it.
Downtown store.
Mm-hmm.
And a stadium rendering, which I thought looked pretty nice.
Yeah.
For a start.
Well, I've been at the stadium. It's a nice stadium as it is. Never mind them doing the work.
It's the one stadium in Victoria I haven't been to. I've been to the other two.
So the Provincial Cup final there.
Oh, there you go. Well,
but whoever owns that White House in that corner right there will not have to buy season tickets.
The one thing about the logo, I like it. I think it's good. It is a little bit weird that you're releasing a second marking so early.
Yeah.
But there must be reason. I can guess at the reasons for that.
I genuinely don't see it. I don't like the original one that much, but I like this, but it just Van Isle Semper Liber.
I never get a chance to look that up, see what that meant. Last bit, some more Canadian news before we get to the Women's World Cup. Liverpool starlet Liam Miller is being tracked by clubs across Europe, and as his contract actually runs down, it's set to expire at the end of this year. So he can start negotiating with other teams in January for a pre-contract. He's got interest from clubs in Scotland, Belgium, Netherlands, England from the Premier League and the Championship, and also MLS clubs as well, which that sounded interesting.
He does seem a good prospect.
He just recently scored a second-half brace as a sub against the U23s at the Arsenal.
Just looked up Semper Liber.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Yeah,
I forgot what it is.
It's great news for Pacific FC fans. Their season tickets aren't going to cost anything. It means always free.
But do you know why they're using it, though? I knew this, actually. You know why they're using it? It's the motto of the city of Victoria.
Oh.
Which is kind of weird because
Victoria's very costly.
Because the whole Van Isle thing. This is
and
the
it's
one
also
thing.
not in Victoria, technically. The stadium.
Right. But so it is the one thing that ties it to Victoria, which, whatever.
Well, they don't claim it to be based on their team name.
It also can mean, according to what I've got here, children. So it could be always children. Look, I'm not joking, that's what it says. It's the third thing down. There's the plural of Liber means children.
I'm guessing not.
It also means book, always book.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Last one. Canada learns their draw for the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup.
Stuff that. Scotland's playing England.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's in there. But they'll be in a group with Netherlands, Canada's ranked 5th.
Yep.
Netherlands ranked 7th. New Zealand ranked 19th. Cameroon 46th. The Dutch are the current European champions as well.
Yes, but finished second in their group to Scotland.
Yeah, and they were in the group with Netherlands and New Zealand in 2015 when the World Cup was here. So the second World Cup in a row they're in the group with them. Because they tied New Zealand 0-0 and they tied Netherlands 1-1.
I remember talking to a couple of the Dutch girls now, actually. Yeah,
I've
forgotten all about that.
And then obviously there are some other things. The Cameroon's the easy one, but they're going to have two tough matches in the second too. And then they got they played New Zealand.
The first game on June 10th, which is Bailey Protect the Butcher's birthday. If he makes it to that, he'd be 15.
I don't know if one of you just said this, but I don't think it's that easy of a group.
I think it's a piss easy group.
No, it's not. It's a hard group.
Holland is really good.
Cameroon
could.
Scotland finished above them, and Scotland aren't that good.
In the women's game?
Yeah.
That could have been a fluke.
Remember, Scotland's playing England. I texted you about that.
That could have been a fluke.
Holland has been really good. And so I think they got to be careful. Holland and Cameroon, it's kind of like you don't know what to expect. I think that Cameroon had like a 6-0 win at the last World Cup against, I want to say Ecuador, but I think it was at BC Place. And then, New Zealand, you hope they can beat New Zealand, but I mean, they just lost them at the U17.
Yeah, that crossed my mind.
But I don't think the U17s are going to be playing each other in this game. But the thing is I think the one thing that was mentioned is they feel they've gotten better since 2015 as a team as a whole. So I think they feel they can take this group and advance.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think it'll be a battle for first top spot in that last game.
The other thing is no Herdman. That's I think one of the things that I'm looking to see how they respond at a tournament like this with no Herdman.
Well, New Zealand, a lot of sheep there. There's a lot of herdmen there, herding the sheepdogs.
Gotcha.
Be forever free, Michael.
That is apparently what the motto of Victoria is forever free. So remember that when you walk out the store. It's not shoplifting. It is forever free. You just flash them the logo of Victoria. But that is it for this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show, which is forever free on CITR Radio. Just before we go, don't quite know how we got to 127. Our shows are longer in the off-season. How is this even possible?
We talk about this.
Yeah.
There's more to talk about.
I didn't even get to play my new game, What's Inside Zachary Adam Meisenheimer.
Oh, man.
It's a cracker. You're going to love this.
There's a cracker inside me?
There's a cracker inside. It's going to go off. But just before we do go off, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm part of the movement Curva Collective.
I am Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. On Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Read all our stuff on aftn.ca. We'll be back next week. Will it be another exciting week? Until then, thanks for listening. Take care, and remember, be forever free!
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.
AFTN.